We were outside. I was smoking. I see your stance. You talked about it. You're more alert. You're more aware. Your surroundings. Right. Do you think that getting into guns creates a paranoia worth having compared to somebody that's never had a gun, never even thinks about these things? You, in a sense, are always thinking about it. Like even being around you, right. I feel like when I open this cabinet, you're thinking, "Oh, what's in there?" And and if I reach under my table, like what's under there? Mm-hmm. Does it create a paranoia that's kind of like a curse or daunting, or you feel better about it? And answer for yourself, yeah, and also answer for listeners that are considering getting a gun for the first time. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's good for them or bad for them?
Okay, so
does that make sense?
Yeah. The paranoia. You can call it paranoia. Some people call it awareness, right? I think it's not only just a gun, but if you had let's say someone's trying to break in your house, a lot of my customers.
But we're not even talking about the worst case scenario. Yeah. We're talking about your everyday life. Mm-hmm. Every movement you see is like.
Okay, so I think, having said that, the only difference is that the fact that because I'm an instructor, right. It's different, right?
Because I feel it. Yeah. Like being around you, I feel, I don't think you're tense, but I'm like, man, he's like.
Well, I saw the cars outside. I was watching. Right. Okay, there's a car park pulled up, and because they stopped, and but that's also, like I said, my upbringing, right? I'm always looking at cars. I'm always like, who's that there? I've always been that way, And even though, like for me, those who know me really well, I'm a happy-go-lucky person, right? I'm always happy. I'm the kind of guy that
you're always joking around.
Yeah, always
never
joking
serious,
around.
Fucking around. Yeah.
But in certain scenarios, it depends on the scenario. If I'm in a different neighborhood, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to be very, very aware.
But so for you, it's been a good thing.
It's been a very good thing. Yeah. Just also,
do you think certain people, it would be like a bad thing? Like it's an extra responsibility. I think it's being added to their life.
Well, let's.
It's like saying you never knew how many women are getting what do you call it, kidnapped and fucking sex trafficking. Yeah. Like you don't know what sex trafficking is, and then somebody just opens a door and saying this shit's happening every day in our fucking city, like your neighbor and this, and now it's like some people are like, oh, this is fucked up, and some people are like, no, we have to take action or we have to be alert. Like
so let's take to your example. Okay, I think California is Megan's Law, right? Right, where they have to identify. You can Google and identify all the predators in your neighborhood, right?
Right,
dude. Yeah, you get predator for your kids.
And if you go on that, it's like baseball cards, and it has stats. Like this one did it 10 times to 3 years. It's like baseball cards.
Right. So
and they're in your building, and if you Google that shit's scary.
Right, especially when you have kids, right? Right. So for me, it doesn't cause me paranoia, but definitely I started getting aware. Like, okay, cool. What street? This, all the 3 fucking predators here, and watch these pictures, see these guys. Which I've never seen anyone, by the way. I've never seen anyone around, right? That I could be aware of. But yeah, it does bring you awareness for sure. But then let's say we call it a good thing. Too much of any good thing is bad for you, right?
Right.
In general, period. So for some people, it could be an extra responsibility. Sure, it could probably drive them nuts. Super paranoid. It depends on the person, really, how people take it. I feel like everyone gets more aware,
and it probably prevents more shit too. You're not gonna fight. You're not gonna argue with somebody in a car now because you're like, wait a minute.
What if this?
They might have a gun.
Right. And for instance, I got my in-laws the Ring, right, for Christmas, and we installed whatever, and both of them are retired, right. So my mother-in-law's, I'm always on this thing, like watching the Ring neighborhood, like what's going on, and it's kind of like you kind of go, oh shit,
I guess just with Ring, you take that responsibility.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, 2 miles from me, 1.5 miles. Oh shit, next 3 blocks down.
I know that house,
yeah, shit, holy, this happens or this happens. So I mean, even with the Ring alone. But I can see how people get obsessed too, like, oh shit, what's happening? The Citizens app, right? That whole shit too.
That shit got crazy, man.
Yeah, like, oh shit, what's going on? Like, oh shit, this happened down the street from my house,
The fucking LA's on fire. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Shooting again?
Right.
Cop? Yeah.
So yeah, I think, but
the
also
Citizen was another big one. Yeah.
So it brings. My friend told me about. I'm like, I'm gonna check that out, right? But it doesn't happen in Vegas. It doesn't work in Vegas. It only works
Citizen.
doesn't work
Really?
in Vegas. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know. I really don't know why. But like I said, it just brings you an awareness. I guess for me, so I'm a person who likes to be really informed. I like the information, even if it's useless, right? You know, kind of like you know, when husbands go shopping with their wives. I love shopping with my wife. Number one, my wife hates shopping, but I'll go watch it and be like, how was that made? Why did they put that product there? That's how my mind works, right? So I like to be informed. So for me, I can see where some people can get paranoid for sure, but yeah, for me, I think it's a good thing overall, just to be aware.
So can we say by getting a gun, naturally you will become more aware of a lot more things, and that's something that you should be ready to accept, or is that a little too far?
Okay, if I mean, it's a little different every state, right? And so if you have a permit to carry, that's the difference. I think not having a gun only, but if you're carrying one every day, like ITTS and stuff, it's very different, right? That awareness becomes very different. Because some people will get a gun, and so there's like different levels, right? You'll have someone who believes that it's a talisman. It's going to ward off evil spirits. I don't have to use it. I just have that in my house. You have those people. So it doesn't really change anything for them. Right. And then you have those guys, you know, whether they're collectors, when you get to that level where someone's like really actively training, that's the difference. That's when they become aware of everything.
Yeah.
Right. That lifestyle changes, because people don't realize when you carry a gun, I explain to people, you carry a gun on you on a daily basis, your lifestyle has to change.
Yeah.
From the way you dress, right? Just from the way you dress, the way you approach it. So let's say someone calls and cuts you off, calls you a fucking asshole, and the whole 9 yards. You carry a gun. You cannot provoke this. You cannot provoke this fight. You gotta be like, okay, it's done. I can't just, you know, I'm not saying like someone like sexually tries to harass your wife or something. That's a different story. But you have to be very aware of when you know to walk away, because you have a gun on you, right? This might be an altercation. You don't want to get in a fight where all of a sudden it's a fist fight. You can't pull your gun on someone. It's a fist fight. You can't do that. I'm not saying ever. I'm sure there's a certain guy's 6'5", you know, 300 pounds or something, maybe a different story, because he can hurt you. He can cause a lot of harm. He can kill you with his bare hands. But I'm just saying, in that circumstance, you have to know, hey, you know, this is not worth it. Yeah. Right? This gun, from how this gun pops out, he throws you to the floor, this gun pops. Now it's a gunfight, literally a fight for a gun. Right? So you have to learn. A lot of defensive instructors will tell you the same thing. Like, yeah, you have to be aware of when you need to. Like, most people think, like, you know, a lot of gun ho guys are like, oh, you know, home invader, first thing you shoot the bad guy. I'm like, no, don't get shot. That's number one rule. Don't get shot, right? That's number one. But also, if you're out in the public and you have your family, your priority is to get your family safety. First thing.
Right.
Most instructors will say the same. Yeah, if you have a family out there, your kids are out there, bro, and there's a gun, some dude starts running with a gun. It depends on the circumstance. If you're far enough, they're like, get your kids out of the way or get your family out. It's safety first.
Right.
You know? So there's a lot of scenarios when it comes to that. Owning a gun, I don't think it always does that, per se, because some people believe it's a talisman.
Yeah, you're right, because I've owned a gun a million times or forever, and I've never even thought about it.
Never thought about it, right? But unfortunately, when people who have something happen, even if someone, oh man, someone came in my backyard, dude, people start getting like, holy shit, I didn't buy a gun, it's just training. They get really aware of that stuff, because here's the thing. So the chances of someone breaking your house, right, and all those things, the chance is like 1% in your whole life, right?
Right.
But it's the 1% you can't mess up. If it happens, you cannot mess up. Right, you can mess up the rest of your life. Things here, you can make up things. You can make up for your mistakes. But in this one scenario, if someone breaks in your house and you have a gun, you've been trained, this is the one time you can't fuck up.
Yeah,
right. You cannot fuck up. So, I mean,
it's also like that saying: I'd rather have a gun and not need it than need it and not have it.
But it's funny you mentioned this question today on my Facebook memory. Something came up. I had downloaded the picture on my new phone years ago. Many years ago, and to this day, I was going to bed, so no shirt on, pajamas on, and I have an inside the waistband holster. At the time, I can't carry a gun, in the public, right? So people say, "Why do you have a holster?" And I go, "It's actually for my bed, right? Because if I need a gun, put a holster on. I have a gun, I have a spare mag, the whole 9 yards, whatever." So it's about 1:30 in the morning. I'm going to bed, and I hear a glass shatter. And I'm like, fuck. First thing, pull my gun out. I grab my gun, put my holster on.
You keep one in the chamber?
And my house is all dark. It's not a very big house, you know. So I open the doors, guns out, checking all the rooms slowly. And I'm looking for every window. That's what I'm looking for, right? First thing I'm looking for, windows. I heard glass shatter. So after I go through my the house in Atwater, which is only like 400 square feet, ain't fucking big, right? It's like an apartment at this point. I look outside and I'm like, there's no my Jeep's fine, like my car's fine, there's no glass shatter. I'm like, what the fuck?
What's going on?
Am I fucking dreaming? So I put her shirt on. I still have my gun on. I step out of my house to look. It's like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck's going on, dude? Am I tripping? And then I hear my neighbors fighting, right? So I look over, and I look over, and I can see them yelling at each other in from the window, which is very low, right? And then what have you, and the girlfriend slaps the boyfriend, right, and walks out of the room, and he's just like standing there like all boggled. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's what it was, right? No one's dying, so I didn't call 911 or what have you. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Okay, and so here, so you can see it. The audience can't see it. The next morning, there's dishes all over the front fucking yard.
Oh my god!
Right, so they got into a fucking fight. And I guess they were breaking dishes. That's what I heard.
Right.
And so I took a picture. I was posting it the same night. I was oh shit. And then next one, I go, here's the aftermath. It's a picture. So they got in a fight. That's what it was. But it was like it showed me what I was gonna do in that kind of scenario when I thought someone was
like a good test.
Yeah, it was just like, oh shit, gun comes out, here we go, and searching all the rooms, the whole 9 yards. But in reality, I probably should just stayed in my room and locked my fucking door because I don't know, could have been 10 guys out here for all I know.
Yeah,
and also for the fact that there was no one home, so I didn't need to step on my room, but I just did.
Would you so for your home, you carry a pistol?
So
you don't think a shotgun's better, or what would you recommend for somebody for home security? And we're talking about, obviously bullets going through walls and blah, 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 where you live.
So I'm of the opinion, and in the industry there's different opinions about it, okay? It depends on two things. If you have to go hunting, right? So you have kids in another room, you got to leave your room, right? Because you have kids or whatever the situation is, you have to leave your room. Then you're going to go, how big's your place, right? Because shotgun's pretty big, bigger than a rifle, right? Longer, that's what I mean, longer. You have to look at all those scenarios of how you're going to maneuver if you have to go there. The other scenario is that, okay, let's say worst case scenario, there are people in your house, someone in your house, right, going crazy, whatever, and your kids get scared. Now I might have to, because, kids will panic, and they might just either run to your leg, they might just run, whatever the situation is. What if they run? You have to grab them. Now you have to have one hand to do this and push your kids out of the way. If that's the kind of scenario, or your wife, for all that matter, right? Your spouse or what have you. So pistol, I think, is more maneuverable. It's for the same reasons everyone carries a pistol. They're more maneuverable. But a rifle or shotgun is better as far as damage is concerned, or how to stop a threat. But
what about the like, again, when you take a safety class, or like you have to look past
targets, just surroundings, right?
Your surroundings and stuff, and bullets. Like, let's say you live in an apartment building, bullets going into the next room if you miss. It's easy to miss.
Of course,
people
absolutely.
Forget a bullet's this big and spaces.
People always think, especially old timers, would be like, I had a customer the same thing, like, oh my uncle told me I should buy a 45. Like, your uncle's like past 60, right? Yeah, how'd you know? Yeah, because that's how they all think, right? They all think, number one, that 45 will stop someone completely. Number two, they also assume you don't miss, right?
Right.
Oh, there's a 45, eight bullets. I can kill 8 people with this. It's like, that's assuming you don't miss, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
but people really forget, like, it's a little bullet and there's all this space. Like, it's hard. Like, it's not far fetched.
No,
you're probably gonna miss more than
you will, and
because most people are only practicing on like steady
targets, not moving targets, right?
Right.
And in reality, so the only true way to train, right? You're either shooting real bullets at something that stands still for the most part. I mean, I know there's new devices out there to move, but for the most part, it's a standstill target, and you're shooting real bullets. The only time you can shoot with someone actually moving is you're shooting what's called simunitions, right? They're not blanks. It's almost like paintball, but simunitions, they're very, very expensive. That's when you can do force on force training, shooting each other, right? Because they're not real bullets. So either training to shoot real people with fake bullets, if you will, or you're shooting real bullets but not at real people.
At real people, yeah.
So there's no perfect training scenario. I mean, there's a lot of good things out there. It's to bring awareness, but yeah, you're right. There's a lot of it's chaos, right? It's a lot of chaos. If something were like that to happen. So for my home in Las Vegas, I have a rifle. I have an AR-15. That's what I use for my home defense because people don't realize it's a rifle bullet, and people tell me, "Oh, if you shoot a rifle, it's gonna go through 5 walls in your neighbor's house." But the AR bullet, the 5.56 bullet, 2.3, is actually designed to tumble upon impact. It loses a lot of energy fast, right? It's designed to do that. Yeah, it's designed to do that, right? So I remember asking my friends who are like police officers in like SWAT teams. I go, "Hey, question for you: what kind of bullets do you guys use in an AR?" Because if you notice now, I've seen quite a bit actually, where people like hostage situations and they evacuate the fucking neighborhood like a couple houses away. Well, they do that for safety anyway. If they're using handguns, they're still, whatever you want to use, they're still going to evacuate people, right?
Right.
But I noticed that they'll go in with ARs. Like, that's interesting. So why are they going with ARs? Aren't they concerned? Because, yeah, cops may be, SWAT team guys might be really good shooters and stuff like that. But still, they're still humans, right?
Right.
People are going to miss whatever. But they go inside a normal house with an AR-15. Why? I was like, why? And they go, I don't know. We use bullets as you guys use. Because the bullet tumbles. So he loses a lot of speed very fast.
Velocity and everything.
Yeah, rifles are easier to shoot, to be more accurate with, especially ARs. That's why it's a lot of people. That's the America's rifle. It's really easy to shoot, right? You got an AR. If you shot, it's really easy to shoot. Kids can shoot it. Spouses, women can shoot it. No, everyone can shoot it. And it's maneuverable, whole 9 yards. That's why for my house in Vegas, I have a 2-story house. So that's very much every house is 2 stories there.
Right.
But I remember but that's the rifle of choice. And also, since my bedrooms are on top floor, I have a lot of advantage that way. Yeah. I don't use a shotgun because shotguns, believe it or not, shotguns you can miss. You're close enough, you'll miss. Right? People go, it's going to spread. And also, when shotguns fire, all those pellets that spread, you are liable for every single one of them too. Right? So they start hitting other things, you have no idea. I'm not saying shotgun's not a good weapon choice. Shotgun has advantages, definitely has advantages, but if you know how to really win, you took a course, right, from ITTS, I bet you know a lot more shotgun than the average person, how to run a shotgun.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because most people say, just pump it, shoot it, right, I'm good.
Yeah, people don't consider the chokes and
all that.
Spread
pattern, all that. Yeah. Exactly. So they don't understand all that. So if you take it in a class, you'll be more equipped with a shotgun. And, of course, some people will have the whole, for a pump shotgun, right? They'll say, I got a pump shotgun. If I pump it, person probably go away. Okay, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I've heard it happen. My neighbors had it happen, right? She pumped a shotgun. That dude fucking said, see you later, right? But also at the same time, you should never pump a shotgun to scare someone. You should pump shotgun to shoot someone in self-defense, right?
Yeah.
This is why I loaded it, in case this happens. Because here's the case with, when you look at home burglaries, okay? Professional burglars will never have you home, right? They stake your house. They don't have you home. They don't want to confront the homeowner. That's what the whole issue, because they're smart. Easier to get the shit. We're out of here, right?
Yeah.
It's the guys who are on crack or whatever, guys who are on drugs and who don't know better, right?
Right.
They show up at your house in the middle of the night, what have you. But here's the thing. There are also scenarios where there's a chance that burglar, not that he's your friend, but that burglar may know you, right?
Right.
Like someone who knows him. You're a cable guy. Hey, Robert.
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah,
like most of those cases, it's somebody that knows you.
Yeah, right.
But back to the strangers. I'm not worried about a stranger. It's always like friends, brothers, junkie brother. Like you know.
And they know your patterns. They know when you go home. If you have a 9 to 5 job, all that shit. They know shit. People don't realize UPS dudes, they're drivers. They know your fucking schedule.
Yeah.
You have the same driver all the time. He knows when you're home. He's drop off packages. I used to have a UPS driver. We became friends. he will, hey Mike, I got a package for you, bro. I'll be on like around 5:30. You cool? Like, yeah. Where do you want to drop it off? Like, he'll tell me, right? I shoot guns with him too, and it was kind of like, so he would always tell me, I got a package for you, bro. When you be home?
And he knows you have guns.
Yeah, and I know he has guns. I know where he lives.
Right.
You know, yeah. So we were cool. But how often do you know your UPS driver? No, right? But they can watch your house. They know your patterns. They know when you're gonna be home. And if I keep dropping off packages every fucking day, you're never there, and you never pick up. I kind of know when you're not home.
Yeah.
You know, not saying UPS drivers do that,
right.
But I'm saying
it happens.
Cable guys, they go inside your house.
Installers, plumbers.
Yeah, they look at shit.
Everything. Yeah, of course.
You know, so you're kind of like, okay, well, you know, that's why I hide everything. I try to make sure I don't have anything that looks like with gun related in my house, because I don't want those people to know that I have guns in my house. That's what it is, typically. You know, you don't want anyone to know anything of value, actually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, same thing.
What's funny is you're talking about professional thieves and stuff. Yeah. I love when people get like these amazing like padlocks and like, look at the fucking lock that I have on my door, and it's like, bro, 90% of burglars don't come in through the front door. They come in through windows, the back, sliding doors, everything. Like, what are you talking about?
Which is funny because like so when I bought my home, I have a sliding door to the back, right? And so my wife and I were talking about where to put the cameras, fucking defensive positions, the whole 9 yards. The only vulnerable part is they can break the glass of the sliding door. I said, that's the only vulnerable part. But if they break it in the middle of the night, they're about to die because I have the advantage at this point. But I told my wife, so I have electronic locks on all my doors, all my fucking bedroom doors, all of them. My pedestrian door, all. Obviously, the annoying part is like, me and my wife, we always joke around like, well, we're not going to cheat on each other. Because every camera is everywhere. Every door, we know when we're home. We're in the living room because it's all the motion sensors and stuff all the time going off. But I go, I'd rather know than not know.
Yeah.
Even if it gets annoying, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But
yeah, I'd rather get the notification.
I'd rather know. I'd rather know, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as that's concerned, it's excuse me, sorry.
You're good.
What do you call it? Yeah, when it comes to different type of guns, it depends on where you live.
Yeah.
You know, if you live in an apartment or studio apartment, it's kind of really small. You know, you still have something, but at that point, as you were trained, like, you know your target and surrounding. But, you know, I always tell people, you know, when people tell me, oh, when you loaded your gun for self-defense at home, aim at the neighbor you don't like. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Don't.
Which neighbor? I like her. I don't like him.
Hey, can you stand over there, please?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
This is strictly for entertainment purposes.
Strictly for entertainment. No, thank you. I just wanted to pick your brain on that. I was just thinking about it outside.
No problems. All right, brother.
Thank you, man.
No problem. Cheers.
Thank you for making it out. So you were telling me bidets. You're rocking bidets, huh?
Yeah, my wife's uncle got us 3 bidets. We have 3 bathrooms in the house, and yeah, I mean,
is it recent? You got into it?
It's been about a year now, and life changer.
Super life changer.
Super.
I was in Qatar, and I've been to a few places where they had bidets, and I was like, that shit's gay, you know, like water splashing in my ass.
Right.
And then I was in Qatar for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And the hotels had it, and then the gym bathroom had it, and I was like, and then I was like, oh, this is kind of weird, and I tried it, and then I didn't like it. And anyways, long story short, when those 3 weeks were done, I was all about it. I was like, you know what? I feel cleaner like this. I feel so much better. And now when I go somewhere and they don't have a bidet, I fucking feel like disgusting. It's gross. And somebody made a point. I think it was on an ad that Joe Rogan did. But he goes, think about it. If you get shit on your arm, are you just gonna get paper and just wipe it off? You're not gonna do that.
I've seen that.
Yeah. You're not gonna.
Right.
Oh shit!
Right,
but for our ass, it's okay.
Yeah, you're right.
It makes no sense. And then I've been rocking it for almost like 3 years. When the pandemic happened and everybody was stressing out about toilet paper, I was like,
we're
give
chilling.
a fuck, dude.
Yeah,
Who cares?
no problem. Yeah,
no problem at all.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. My I was telling my wife, so I have a newborn, and I have 3.
Congrats.
Yeah, I have 4 boys total, but I have a newborn.
Nice. All boys, even
All
the
boys.
newborn.
All boys.
Poor mom.
No,
she loves it.
Well, two different wives, ex-wife.
Same.
So I was telling my wife, I go, you know, we cannot teach him how to use a bidet until he's like 20 years old. She's like, why? I go, he's gonna get used to it. And she goes, you know what? That's funny because her cousin from the Philippines, when he came to the United States to He's like, you guys don't have the bidets? And
everybody in the world has it.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, she was like, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't teach him how to use it. So he don't
Especially
use
in the
it.
U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because then you go to school and
like,
then
yeah,
it's like, what the fuck? How do I do this and stuff?
Exactly.
It's, you know, once I accepted it, once I started getting into it,
Right.
I started getting blown away of like how crazy the U.S. market is on trying to sell shit. You know, like they literally, like if you talk about tires, you know, it was Firestone, you know, the tire company that pulled out the train tracks in California. Because remember on Chandler, it was train tracks and the city had trains, but they pulled out train tracks and then later on put buses.
Tires.
You know, tires. It was a big tire, and the governments were the mayors and the governors were getting kickbacks, so they were making money off it. So they're like, "Hey, but fuck these trains, man. This is old technology. You know, you need rubber on the road." And L.A. is crazier because L.A. was basically built around the automobile.
Right.
And this is why, you know, public transportation sucks so much compared to like New York and the smaller streets and the train stations and everything else.
Makes sense.
LA, you need a fucking car. Like if you're going to 7-Eleven across the street, you need to drive. Yeah. You know, so it's fucking insane. And bidet, same shit. Yeah. Bidet's not new technology. It's been around forever.
Right. Every other country has it.
Every country has it, but here they get to sell you, you know, toilet paper, tissue paper, towel paper, fucking napkin paper, outdoor napkin, inside napkin. Like it's a fucking business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Total sense.
That's real quick introduction. How would you introduce yourself and where are you working? And do I understand you live in Vegas?
Yes.
Okay, I kind of picked that up. Okay, introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Michael Rungno. Don't try to pronounce the last name; you'll forget.
Yeah.
I've been in the gun industry for over 10 years.
Okay.
I used to work at a hospital at Cedars-Sinai for 12 years of my life.
A Filipino working at a hospital?
I'm actually Filipino.
Oh, no? That's so racist. I'm fucked. You got me. Where are you from?
Actually, half Thai, half Korean.
That equals Filipino. No, I'm kidding.
No offense to the audience here, but I like to say that makes me half communist and half ladyboy.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad.
And most people tell me...
Half communist and half ladyboy.
Yeah, and most people say, well, you were born in 1978. How did that happen? Don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because my father...
That's fucking funny.
Yeah, this is a longer story, but my father has 6 children that we know of. Right. Each of us are half to each other.
Wow.
No one from the same mother.
None of them.
None of us. Now, my brother...
But you guys all know each other?
Yeah.
My
younger brother, I grew up with him. So we never knew otherwise.
Right.
My biological mom left me when I was 6 months old.
Wow.
So I never met her. I don't know her. But the mom who raised me, who's my brother's mother, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
That I didn't know until I was like 22 years old.
You found out that it wasn't you. Wow.
Correct.
That's fucking a trip.
And what's even crazier is that my mom, one who raised me, my mom, knew my biological mother. They have pictures together. I'm like, you guys were friends?
That's wild.
Yeah. And then my father had other kids and down the line, you know, and just of recently, I would think it was Christmas time. My father came to LA with his wife, right, who was a mother to my youngest brother. And so my youngest brother, well, all the brothers, we all had kids the same year.
Right.
Okay. This past year we had kids. And so we're all together, and now we eat at a restaurant, and so my brother wants to see one of my sister's mother.
My brother wants to see one of my sister's mothers. Okay.
So they want to see the baby. So we all go there. I call my mom, who lives across the street from the ex-wife's club. I said, hey, Mom, you know, Jimmy's here. He's in a da-da-da. She's like, but just so you know, Dad's here with her. She's like, why are you telling me once? Just in case you know. Yeah. So we're in the house. So it's my father, my stepmother, my ex-stepmother, if you will. Makes sense. My sister's mom.
Yeah.
Then my mom shows up. And so my wife, so we're all there, and you know.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my dad goes to when my mom comes in, she's like, is that the neighbor? I'm like, you're such a dick.
You're such a dick.
And then we're all having fun with the kids. And then my wife, I look at my wife, and she looks at me, and she's like, we need to take a picture right now. So my brother Jimmy's like, should I be holding him up? I go, no, just sit down now. Take a picture now. I said, and after the picture was taken, I said, you have Dad with your mom, with my mom, with Amy's mom. That's 2 ex-wives in the same picture.
That's fucking insane.
Dude, it was hilarious.
But that, that shit's like, I had somebody on the podcast and saying it was something similar, but it was him. And, he couldn't work it out with his wife, so he separated. Yeah. And then he bought a house next to the house where he used to live, and then he got a new wife. And now the kids just go between the house, and the wives are friends. I'm like, what? What is going and the more times I talk to people, I'm like, this is kind of normal. This is normal. And then another funny Chinese mix, not Asian mix, was this one guy says, I'm half Chinese and I'm half Mexican. So you know what that means? I'm a bad driver and I don't have insurance. I forgot the comedian's name, but yeah,
because my nephews and my nieces, they're half Filipino, half Thai, so we call them typos.
Typos.
Yeah, typos. That's what they call them.
Typos.
Thai and Filipino. So they call them typos.
So you worked at a hospital.
I worked at Cedars-Sinai for 12 years.
And then you were like,
no, actually, I got fired because I used to have migraines. We were talking about the caffeine thing.
Yeah.
So I used to have migraines, and they know this. This is not something that no one doesn't know. And also I had become so over the years, you call it sick, shit happens, right? You either get sick or what have you, And so basically I got let go because I called in sick too many times over so many. And actually
within a period of time.
Yeah, within a period of time.
Yeah,
and the last
for
time
a normal person, schedule, etc.
Well, the last time,
not saying you're not normal.
Yeah. No, I'm not normal, but
yeah.
My last strike was the fact that actually my kids caught lice at school. At that time, they were not allowed to go back to school without a doctor's note. So I had to call out. I tried to get the doctor, to see my kids. I shaved their head.
Oh my
right?
God!
Just straight like that. That's well, they have
that's the old school way.
Well, they have curly hair. My other kids, my other sons, they have curly hair, right? Because they're my ex-wife is she's Black, Lebanese, and Spanish, so they have afros.
Wow, what a mix!
And dude, I'm not getting lice.
And all those races have like thick hair. And like,
I'm not, bro. Not gonna happen, dude.
Yeah.
So I shaved their head. I told the school, can they come back? Their head's shaved. No, I have to have a doctor's note. I have to call it. I have no choice.
Yeah.
That's how I got fired.
That's fucked up.
It wasn't for worth. Even my old boss was like, I can't believe I'm firing you. Not for letting you go. Not for, if it was for work ethic, she'd be good conscious, no problem.
Yeah.
But she's like, it's not even for that. So actually, I got into the gun industry just by accident. Actually, my boss.
Were you an avid gun collector prior?
I just bought a couple guns at the time. I think I had 4 guns at the time, but I was buying them like one a year. I wasn't even like, most people get more like within 6 months. I was buying once a year, just getting into it.
Yeah.
And then my boss, my boss now, of course, they got to know me and, what have you. And literally my boss used to work at in a hospital as well. Then he was calling, hey, how's work? I told him the situation. At that point, I was already gone for like, I hadn't found work in about a year. Yeah. Right. And so, my boss was like, hey, you want to work here 2 days a week or whatever? And that's how it started. 2012.
Now, okay. So you're working there part-time. When did you do the Vegas move?
That's 2018. So I started in 2012, October. I didn't move
and then
to
2018
Vegas.
you moved
I
to
moved to Vegas in March of 2018, yeah. My wife got a really good job in Las Vegas.
Okay.
For the police department. That's why we left.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, but that's the major reason. Also for the fact that we're like, hey, you know what? Housing is really cheap out there.
Super cheap, especially in 2018.
Oh yeah.
Especially in 2018.
Yeah, we didn't
compared to anywhere.
Yeah, compared to anything.
No state taxes.
Yeah, no state tax. Exactly. We didn't buy our house. We didn't buy and close our house until March of 2020, before everything shut down.
But still, you did better.
You
killed it. Because right now, is it fucking insane?
Oh yeah, right now it's insane. So yeah, we bought a house, we closed out, and then shit hit the fan, and everything closed. And as you know, all the gun shops and everywhere in the whole country, lines out the door. It happened. It happened on a Thursday. When I remember working at work, and we're like, why are those people here? So I guess everything had shut down. School shut down. Everything has shut down that time.
Yeah.
It was a Thursday. And I'm like, what the hell? So Thursday, busy all day. Friday, busy all day. I mean, we were like, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm telling my boss, we have to control the door.
Yeah.
Because we can't let all these people in at once.
At the same time, yeah.
Number one, you have no idea who's next.
Right.
And if you're in a pandemic, and as everyone thought, and you're like, I gotta get a gun, you're not.
I mean,
no honor
people were
system.
losing their shit for toilet paper.
Yeah.
Let alone.
Yeah, there's no honor
I
system.
was here first.
I was here. Yeah. No. So we had a lot. I have a lot of stories in that alone. But I remember I had one customer walk in. The whole mask mandate. I had a customer walk in, and he was wearing a mask, and I said, "Sir, you have to put a mask on." He goes, "No, I don't." I said, I have a medical reason. Do me a favor, step outside. So, and there's a line out the door, right? So I'm outside with him. I'm like, "Sir, what's going on?" Right? And he's like, "Well, my doctor said I don't have to wear a mask because I have an issue with the mask on my face or blah, blah, blah." It's a medical issue.
Right. Okay, where's your paperwork?
And I said,
watch out with the sounds too, because you hear people in cars here like.
And so I said, so let me see your paperwork. He goes, "Well, have you ever heard of HIPAA laws?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm familiar with HIPAA law. I worked in a hospital for many years. HIPAA law says that a doctor cannot tell me, or a medical institution cannot tell me what you have. It doesn't mean you can't tell me, bro." And he goes, "What's your name?" So I tell him my name. I'm one of the managers here. He goes, "You're going to be hearing from me." I said, "Oh, no. Okay. Have a nice day." He leaves. 10 days later, after the 10-day period background check is over, some of those customers standing in line were like, "Hey, did he ever come back?" I was like, "No, bro.
Not at all. No. They never come back.
Yeah, they never. I'm like, be quiet, dude." So yeah.
But why do you think that is that people don't follow through their? Because I just did that the other day. Actually, I was pulling out a car seat. My wife had the car outside,
right? And
I was pulling out the car seat out of my truck to put it in her car.
Okay.
And this parking lady just like gets right on her ass and is like, "Go." And I'm like, hold on. Like, I'm putting up a car seat. She's like, she puts the hazards and puts lights. And then I got a little frustrated because I left my son in the car playing in the truck. And I was like, if this is the type of lady that if she sees my son in the truck, she's like, yeah. Right. So I was like, "Baby, just park the car." She's like, "Why? I'm fucking putting the car seat in." Right. Anyways, the lady was being disgusting, blah, 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 blah. After I got the whole thing situated, she parks, she leaves, the other lady leaves. Anyways, I get the whole thing situated. My son's gone. I'm like, fuck this, like I'm gonna get the number on that fucking Jeep and I'm gonna take a video and blah. Right. And I catch up and then I take the number and then she pulls up next to me. And she's like, sticking out her tongue. I'm like, "Oh, you're so fucking done." And then I pull over and I'm like, "I got you, I'm being a little bit of a Karen, but like it was so bullshitty, right? It was disgusting. So then she stops at the stop sign, puts on her hazards, and now she's fucking around with traffic. Now cars can't go or they have to go around it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find out and I'm going to complain and I'm going to tell her. And I was like, this is too much work. Like, like, why do we do this? Why is executing so hard?
My brother who lives in Riverside, one of my brothers who lives in Riverside, he had a situation where, this is last year sometime, he was at a Starbucks with my nephew. And, in a truck, he had a big truck at the time. He goes in, and he's not blocking the alleyway because there's an alleyway. So he's trying. Some lady cuts it. He's clearly gonna go next. Some lady cuts in front of him.
Right.
He's kind of like, dude, like, bitch, And then he's like, he's saying something to her, and she starts complaining, and she starts yelling at him and stuff like that. And then she calls the police, and in the car speaker, he can hear her call, "Oh, this guy hit me," blah blah. And he's like. Operator goes, "I didn't hit her. I'm still here. Here's my driver's license number. Here's my license plate number. Just making model of the car. I'm right here. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't hit her. Blah, blah, blah." So finally he parks and he can't see her.
Yeah.
Right. Because they call the police. Right. And my nephew tells my brother, "Dad, that crazy lady's right there." Right. So he turns to her. Like they're in different cars. Right. He turns to her and mouths off, not like loudly, but mouths like, "You're fucking crazy." Right.
Yeah.
So the police shows up. The cop shows up, and my brother tells the officer, "Hey, officer, I have a concealed weapon. They have permits out there. Do you want me to disarm?" He's like, No, it's. I appreciate you letting me know. No, okay, what happened? He tells the situation. He's like, "Oh God," Yeah. So he has to go talk to her. So he talks to her, and then my brother starts mouthing off at her, saying, "You're a fucking piece of shit. This police officer has other more important things to do than wasting his fucking time." And he said the whole time the officer's just kind of like, "You're not wrong," People.
People are just fucking ridiculous,
man. And so we get them. Like anytime you work in retail, you kind of get customers that are, sometimes have legitimate complaints, and no one's perfect.
Yeah, of
But
course.
sometimes you have.
But there's
people,
that fucking extra asshole.
If you watch our Yelp reviews,
Bitch. Sorry.
yeah, if you watch our Yelp reviews, some of these people who give us 1 stars, usually myself or another manager will go right back at them. Because I've had times where we wrong people by mistake, and they've contacted me. I said, come on back in, and we take care of them, no problem.
Yeah.
But they'll mouth off on the internet, and something they say, you're just like, one particular I remember, he said we damaged their gun. He all these claims, and my boss asked me, I'm like, bro, there's no rifle that I can think of, at least in a modern rifle, that has a spring. Because this guy claimed that he heard the spring go off. It hit the wall. The scene, there's drywall in the box. And I'm like, bro, really? This is what he claims.
Right.
Well, he talks about how
That's pretty exact to like.
Right. And he talks about how he's been coming to the shop for like 7 years. He's either had a mediocre experience or a bad one. I'm like, why do you keep coming?
Yeah.
If it's really that bad.
Yeah, but how many times do people write a review and they fuck up the business?
Right.
Like that's got to happen.
Oh, yeah,
that's
sure.
got to happen 10% of the time.
Right. And then recently, so he comes in. I don't know who he is. There's like 3 guys that come in. They do something, situation. Couldn't handle situation. They go to another gun store. He writes another review. This is how I know it's him, because the same reviewer, it shows the other post. And I'm like, I just went at him,
What'd you say?
Oh, man, I'm trying to remember. But it was just fun. I like to be funny.
You were just having fun with it.
Oh, yeah. It's like, dude, you're the idiot. You keep coming back here, bro. Like, you said in your previous review that you would never come back. You don't recommend this place. Why did you come?
Yeah. Why are you still coming?
It makes no sense.
What's your percentage of during the pandemic of obviously people that I never wanted a gun, I don't care for a gun. Oh man, this is happening.
95%.
So would you say your sales went up 95%?
I mean, I guess so. You can say that. because all the customers that I know. See, I've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And so every customer that I already knew, like everyone knows my name, the whole 9 yards. You can always tell. You can always tell if I know the customer because I give them hugs. So that's how I know them very well, right?
Yeah. See, the reason I don't know you that well is because I'm always like going for the girls.
Hey, I don't blame you.
Like I'm always,
I don't blame you.
a redhead. You always have some tall, colorful hair, girls there.
So that was especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you whatsoever. I'm funnier, but they're better looking.
Yeah,
that's for sure. That's for sure.
No, they're definitely better looking.
But no, like I said, as far as that, our customers, the customers I know, they were only coming for ammo. And what's funny is that when they say they're coming for ammo, they were just like, I'm just buying a couple just in case. This is like the beginning of the pandemic, right? Just in case.
Right.
Oh, I got like 5,000 rounds at home, 10,000 rounds. A couple extra 1,000 wouldn't hurt. They weren't coming to buy guns because they already have like 20, 30.
Yeah.
They were fine. I have a customer who has over 200, all bought from us.
Yeah.
Over a decade.
I wonder how he stores them.
Let's say he's got
like, is it like museum style or is it all safe style?
It's mainly safes, but
because I knew a guy, he had a room. It was like a museum.
Oh yeah. I have one customer that had a room like that, bigger than my store.
Wow.
I remember going, damn, really? This is a long time ago. I remember he was a doctor, but he's not like any doctor you go see. He owns a business.
Yeah.
And I remember asking him like, hey dude, so how big is your safe? And he was like, if you want me asking, he looked around, and then all his business partners came about me, and I asked them the same thing. Hey, how big is the safe? And they all listen. They look around the store. About as big as a store. I'm like, dude, he's a room with a bar. With a bar.
With a bar.
Yeah, with a bar and a pool table. Like the whole thing. That's a straight like a guy's dream. What do you call it? Man cave. I guess at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a lot of guns, dude. That guy had 150. Because I saw this list.
That's fucking insane.
And it's not like cheapo stuff. It's all really expensive stuff, high end stuff, hard to get. I remember asking him like, how much ammo do you have? You mind me asking? He goes, this is 2014. He goes, 22 caliber. It's really small. He's like, I think I got 1.5. I said, did you say 1.5?
Like 1,500?
No, 1 million. Of one caliber. I go, how much total? He's like, last time I counted was like 10 million. I'm like, damn, you have 10 million rounds in your house? And I met his wife. She was like, yeah, they're in the laundry room. They're in the kitchen. Like, they're everywhere.
The kid's cereal, it's just popping out.
Like,
it's in the fridge.
Yeah. I'm like, holy shit.
That's a lot of fucking ammo.
That's a lot of ammo.
What is it fair to say you're not a huge fan of the Glock, or you are a fan? And the reason I wanted to get with you is, one, you're very knowledgeable. Two, I have a group of friends that want to start buying guns, and they want to get into it.
Yeah.
Three, I've been buying guns, and I've been happy with my selection, but now I'm like, you know what? I want something nicer. I want something cooler. I want something. It all started off when somebody sent me a link for I think it's Galco.
The holster manufacturer.
The Miami Vice fucking thing. And I was like, I have no gun that I would put in this fucking leather thing. This sucks. Like, I have no guns, you know? And this is why I went and bought the shotgun and everything else. But what's your opinion on Glocks? What's your opinion on a starter gun? And you know, I'm brand new. I don't own a weapon.
So most salespeople they'll point you to a Glock because it's about $500, $550, $560 price range, what have you. So it's not like $1,000 where you buy a SIG or an HK for $1,000. Everyone likes Glocks because they're simple to use. Primarily, functionally, it's very easy to use, and
it's a single action or double action. I know, but just
So people have argued this even when I was in my instructor's class. They were arguing about a Glock, whether it's double action or blah blah blah. But in the industry, we call them striker fire pistols. Basically, instead of having an exposed hammer, they have an internal rod that people will call a striker. That's what they call it. So basically, in simplistic terms, the trigger pull is the same every single time, right? I mean, a single action too is the same trigger pull every single time, but some guns are double action, single action. So the first pull is very heavy. They call it double action. So they differ. So with striker fire pistols, we just call them striker fire pistols.
So let's break that down. So when you have, because my understanding is a single action is usually no hammer in a sense, and double action is usually a gun that has a hammer. Can that be a general way of defining it, or not really?
Okay, so basically, there is one particular platform,
and I'm talking about a physical hammer, obviously.
Right, physical hammer. Yeah. So we'll keep it to the guns relegated to California. How's that? Just for this purpose, because I don't want to say something where there's a gun they can't buy. So, a single action pistol would be one in particular. The most famous one is called a 1911. Many manufacturers make it. It's a single action because when you load the gun, put the magazine in the handle, and you rack the slide, the hammer pre-cocks itself. Okay?
Because you rack the slide.
Okay. So in opposed to a double action, where a double action, the hammer's down, they call it double action because when you pull the trigger, it does two things. It cocks the hammer, and then it fires the gun. Okay, it does two things.
Like a revolver.
Okay, like a revolver. Right?
Okay, cool.
Unless it's an old cowboy revolver, which are single action only. You have to pre-cock them. That's why you see the people who twirl them.
Right.
They can do that because the gun won't fire with the hammer down.
Got it.
Because it has to be cocked.
And that's how when they're ready, they
the Cowboys.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's where you see that.
That's
right?
cool. Okay. That's good. So don't do it unless if you
yeah. Don't do it with a double action revolver.
Right.
But having the double action is also part of the safety of a gun. So the trigger pull is very heavy. Some are heavier than others, but like on a Beretta, it's like 12 pounds of pressure to pull that double action. It's really heavy.
Okay.
So once a double action fires,
Beretta is the original 1911, right?
No, different gun, totally different.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and so when the gun fires and the slide reciprocates back, it drops it pre-cocks the hammer for you. So it goes into single action, unlike on a Beretta.
Right.
But in the beginning, when you load a Beretta, it'll be in a double action position. And then you fire the gun, it slide reciprocates, the hammer pre-cock, the trigger becomes lighter because it's single action. Right.
Got it.
So that's how it works. But a 1911, like I'll see in movies and stuff, they'll cock a 1911. Like by hand, I'm like, that gun's not even loaded.
Yeah.
Because once you load it, it cocks the hammer. And there's no way to decock it. You put on there's a safety for 1911. So 1911s have the best triggers of any firearms. And it was designed in 1906. It was introduced to the U.S. Army in 1911s, where it comes from. So it's over 100 years old.
It's over 100 years old. And the trigger is it's not angled. It's kind of like
flat. Yeah. So the trigger.
Flat, so you're pulling directly
straight to
back
the rear
versus
So most triggers are built on a fulcrum, so they swing. 1911s go straight to the rear, which is why a lot of people, even new shooters, tend to shoot pretty good with them because there's less room for error.
Yeah.
Right. When they pull the trigger, a lot of people's anticipation, there's pulling of the trigger, how they pull the trigger. Yeah. 1911 is forgiving that way.
Yeah. That was one of the first exercises when I did a training class was like, you know, it's just dry fire. And it's funny how much like you move it just because you're like what the fuck are you moving the gun? Like you're not, it's and that's why your aim gets all fucked up.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so 1911s they're forgiving in that way. Right, their triggers are super smooth, super smooth.
Yeah, I was looking at that one the 1911 that you had the
was it a Kimber?
Kimber. Yeah, you guys had the nicey fancy one, and then you
Yeah,
guys had
the Eclipse. Yeah, Eclipse with the nicey fancy finish.
Yeah.
And then we had the stainless too, the stainless one.
So you still have them?
Okay. Yeah, we have a couple of them. So that's why.
So I have to go pick it up. Then. Yeah, I ended up getting the shotgun because, like I said, I bought this cheapie. Fuck, man, I just went to Big Five like 5-6 years ago, and I was like, oh shit, it's on sale, and I bought the Maverick, which I believe Maverick is the same as Mossberg, but it's like their Lexus. Okay, here you go.
So I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, break it.
So one thing with Big Five.
Terrible.
Well, one thing with that is this I think I started working at Guns Direct. This is when it happened. I learned my old manager, one of the old managers back then, or the first manager of Guns Direct, super knowledgeable guy, still my friend today. We were talking about this, and we found out that Big Five was selling the same shotguns that we had out the door for less than what we buy it for. Right? So it's kind of like, wait, hold on.
The exact same.
This is what we're understanding.
Right.
And so we're like, wait a minute. Why wouldn't we just get our license and buy it from them? Because they're obviously buying it cheaper than we are. So Mossberg had told us that, Ashton, you don't want to do that. And we're like, why? He goes, well, the example was, whoever told us, the example was, you ever been to a shoe store, like a mom and pop shoe store, and seen Nikes you never seen before? Right? Yeah. He goes, well, it's kind of like that. They don't have the same gun. It's not made the same way. Okay. Not just talking about Maverick product, not that.
Right. We're talking about the whole
thing, right? And that's why if you look at Big Five, they don't sell handguns. Right. And they'll tell you, I've heard people tell me, oh, they told me they don't sell handguns because they don't have a license to sell handguns. That is not true. The license is the same. It's the same federal license to sell. They don't sell handguns because Glock, for instance, right? And I'm not talking about versus another gun, but Glock doesn't make a cheaper version of a Glock. SIG doesn't make a cheaper version of a SIG, right? So that's why, like Walmart, when they used to sell firearms, like their bolt guns and stuff like that, even though they're made by manufacturers known, they're not the same guns, right? And I had a guy, he had a Winchester shotgun. He brought it in. He said he had problems with it. He didn't buy it from us. I go, what's wrong with it? He tells me, I go, you bought it from Big Five? He goes, how'd you know? I just say
wild guess.
Wild guess. And then one of my good friends, he ended up. I remember we were on like Mass, Texas, like years ago. My best friend's in it too, and he's like, "Hey, dude, Big Five has a sale on this shotgun, as a Mossberg, whatever, for this price." Dude, I can't even buy it for that price, bro. Right? And so he was like, "Yeah, you all should get up on top of it." My best friend puts in the text like, "Whatever Mikey says, bro, I listen to Mikey, bro."
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, you guys do whatever you want, but I would not buy one." So he buys one. They go and shoot it. I told my best friend, "Go." Tell me how many times it jams. And he tells me later, 6.
Hilarious.
On a pump shotgun.
On a pump shotgun, yeah.
On a semi-auto, we talked about it will happen, you got to break it in. But on a pump shotgun, I was like,
that's unacceptable, yeah.
Because there are certain parts in there, they don't make the same quality. Sometimes it's plastic versus metal.
I got lucky. I got lucky because I got it pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And for, you know, a kind of home defense kind of deal, it worked. And then I did the ITTS. I had a weekend with the shotgun, shotgun class 1. And I had issue.
Yeah.
I had no issue. But I wanted something more quality. I wanted something where I could get more parts for. I wanted the semi-automatic. I actually didn't even pay attention to the semi-automatic until you told me about it. And I was like, what? A semi-automatic shotgun? That's fucking shoots like my AR, but it's, you know, shotgun. So I thought that was very cool.
Like I said, yeah, for me, I never knew that existed until one of my friends we were shooting out, and he was like, you know, he's like, let Mike just shoot the chopper. I'm like, what is that? And then, so they pull out this old Browning shotgun. I was like, oh, it's a shotgun. And then he goes, you want me to demonstrate? Sure. And he just runs that gun. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. So I go shoot. I'm like, oh, I got to get a semi-auto shotgun, which I have one. Yeah. But it was like, oh, I got to get one of these. Not this one in particular, but just in general, I got to get one.
Yeah,
So
I hope to shoot it on Sunday. So I'm gonna break it in on Sunday. Tips. What should I do?
shoot it.
Just load it and shoot it.
Load
No
it and shoot
oil, no nothing. Just it's ready out of the box.
I mean, you can clean it, but I've never cleaned. Like people will tell you should clean your gun. I mean, there's only maybe a handful of guns I know you might should clean. One shotgun in particular I know of that you should clean, what have you. But other than that, no. Even my same, I just shot it.
Yeah.
I have a Remington, which I don't think they make anymore, but it's has 10 rounds in it. It's a longer gun, But yeah, I shot it. Yeah, no problem. Just broken it. I knew might have a little problems here and there.
Yeah.
Which it did because I changed the spring automatically because my wife can't load the 10 rounds in there. The spring is really tight.
Right.
So I had to change the spring anyway. So I go, I know it's going to have some problems. But it was fun either way.
Back to the guns. So Glock, single action, double action. We got that breakdown. What do you recommend? Do you recommend guns based on people's budgets?
No.
Or do you convince people like, hey man, I strongly recommend you get this if you can't do it now? Well, what's your process?
So process is I look at, first of all, whether it's male or female, because husbands always like to go, hey, I want a revolver for my wife. I'm like, yeah, brother, trust me, your wife can put on makeup and drive a car at the same time, bro. It's not
for real,
right. So I tell people it really depends. I said for anybody, I tell people if you're going to, as an instructor, I always tell my students, I'm here to teach you what to practice at home, right? What you need to practice at home, at the range, what have you. So I tell people, if you're looking for a firearm, the first question is, are you going to practice with this? Not even at the range per se, but just loading, unloading a firearm, how you hold it, things, how you align the sights. Even if you're practicing 5 minutes a day, right, on a particular skill, once you learn it, practicing a particular skill, then you should get a semi-auto. I think it has way more advantages than a revolver.
Yeah.
If you're the person going, hey, honestly, Mike, I'm going to shoot this maybe twice a year, male or female, doesn't matter. I tell buy a revolver. It's less to remember, Not that saying that you won't need practice shooting it or for accuracy purposes, but it's just easy to remember to use under stress, right? And remember, depending on, I would say based on personality, but more importantly, based upon people's occupation. For instance, if you're a nurse, ER nurse, trauma nurse, what have you, trust me, in emergencies, you're probably pretty cool under pressure,
right?
You know what to do. But if you're someone like my mom, she always asked me, where do you guys teach me how to shoot? Me and my brother both instructors. We're like, hell no. Because you panic like crazy. Like on the smallest things, you panic. Dude, imagine having a gun in your hand. Be a bad idea.
It's a shit show.
Yeah. It depends on the person. Because, despite what people think, I heard it once from an instructor and it made sense. People never, ever rise to the occasion, right? They go back to what they know, what they've trained to do. So if you're a nurse, you not all of a sudden you could become a brain surgeon. Not going to happen. You're going to go to what you know in an emergency, what you're trained for, right? So everyone goes back to training. That's the whole idea. So if you're not training or you haven't been trained or still practicing, you're not going to remember what to do. I've seen it in hospitals. People go crazy. I remember, so I'm not a nurse, never been a nurse, but I worked with a bunch of nurses. We've had, when we have code blues, people having heart attack or what have you, or cardiac arrest, I get the crash card, right? I know basic life support, but dude, you're in the hospital. You want a nurse to handle this shit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But in order for me to help them any way I can, I go to what I know. Let me give them the crash card so they can do their shit. That's what you should do. You know what I mean? You go to what you know. So you need to practice. So I tell people, if you're not gonna, I'm gonna shoot it once a year, twice a year, buy a revolver.
Now, when you say practice, like what are you talking about? Like buying the dummy rounds, unloading, loading, cocking.
There's a lot. Yeah. So practice would be that. Yeah. Loading the gun, right? Chambering around, unloading the firearm, holding it. If there's safeties or decockers, running those things. I mean, just running at home.
Just playing with it.
Obviously, make sure you're in a room, no live ammunition, things of that nature. Right? But that's really what it is, because a lot of people don't understand in training. When I used to teach classes a lot, it was the same thing. I was always repetition. My classes were never, people used to always ask me like, hey, Mike, so do you teach an advanced class? I'm like, explain advanced to me.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly? Yeah, I'm not saying there's not advanced techniques, right? If you're talking about tactics, that's a different story. I don't teach tactics, right? I never have. I've learned a lot from all my military friends, law enforcement friends, people who are way better than I was. So I understand tactics,
right?
But I don't teach it. That's not my realm to teach. right? So I stick with fundamentals, how to shoot, right? Maybe draw a gun, things of that nature, but nothing crazy. And I used to teach my class, I go, the only difference between an advanced shooter and a beginner shooter, the advanced shooter applies the fundamentals consistently. That's the true difference between someone who's a really good shooter versus just a beginner, right? Actually, I always tell people the beginner and the advanced shooter is the most dangerous person in the class. The intermediate is the most safest because sometimes with advanced people, they get complacent. Oh, don't worry, I know how to do this.
They get too confident. Well, Scotty from ITTS, he says, and I thought it was such a great point. He goes, I'm at a higher risk of having an accident because I carry and use a gun every day. And the more you're using it, the more chance for error. Like it's just whatever. Sure. If you pull it out, 20 times a day, every day, 365, at any moment versus,
if you didn't have
a person that, keeps it in a safe and out of way.
Right.
So that I thought that was interesting. And then you're also right about people defaulting to, what they know, because it's back to people always say it's fight or flight, but there's freeze.
Right.
And people freeze a lot.
Right.
And one episode that I saw was I was at an event, and it was all, my wife's Armenian, and it was an Armenian event. And guys are drinking and everybody's cool and badass and smoking and gambling and whatever the fucking they do. Right. And this lady gets up and starts choking. And she's like, oh, and she starts choking. It looked like wild chickens. Everybody nobody knew what to do. Right. First time I saw Armenian people calling cops, they were like, what the hell? And I used to lifeguard, and when I was growing up as a kid, that. So I just ran up to her, put my knuckle, got her boom, boom. She got it, saved her, and I was just flipping out that if I wasn't there, like, she would have been fucked. And she was 68, 70 years old, like, It was a bad scenario, but you just see how people react, and you're right. Like if you don't practice loading your gun or unlocking it, like I think about it now with the MP Shield. The MP Shield. I'm like, fuck. I think this is like it has a safety. Do I remember the position of the safety? I better look at the position of safety. This ain't the Glock, because the Glock doesn't have
It doesn't have a manual safety per se.
It has the little double trigger, but it fucks with me sometimes because I'm like, oh man, there's a bunch of crazy people tonight. Safety, no safety. Fuck this. I'm going to go to the Glock. And I haven't been practicing. I'm like, this is crazy.
No, you're right. And it's funny because going back to your event, now if they were if you were at an event with a bunch of Filipinos, they would have been nurses all over the place.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah.
You'd been fine.
I used to live in Daly City.
Oh, where's that? Daly City?
You don't know Daly City? Oh, that's hilarious. It is the, Glendale Armenians?
Yeah.
Daly City's in San Francisco. It's south of San Francisco. It's the Filipino capital.
Okay.
It's every grocery store you walk into, they have a pig, a whole pig. There is karaoke machines everywhere. Everybody, like you walk in a neighborhood, everybody has karaoke lights, and it's
in San Francisco, huh?
Yeah. It's like 30 minutes south of San Francisco.
Well, so I was born in Oakland, right? Yeah. But I wasn't raised there. And I remember many years ago, this is probably a couple of decades ago, I was picking up a friend in San Francisco or in Oakland, and I remember going, why the hell are there Chinese signs underneath the street names? So I got home and I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, how come that? She's like, that was the first Chinatown. I'm like, really? No, it kind of made sense, but I didn't see any Chinese people, I didn't see any Asian people at all. Yeah. That's why I was kind of like, why did they have? I never knew that. So yeah,
no, it's crazy.
City, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, but it's crazy because there's a fucking Chinatown everywhere.
Oh yeah,
I was in Cuba 2 years ago. In Cuba, and I went and they have a Chinatown in Havana, and it's these Chinese Cuban speak. Oye chico, and I'm like the Cuban accent's crazy, but then you have a Chinese Cuban accent. Yeah. It's the wildest thing in the world.
I met Asian Russians. I'm like,
well, they have a Chinatown in Russia. I was in City of Mexico. There's a Chinatown in City of Mexico. They speak Spanish. Like there's a Chinatown in just about every city in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super fucking wild.
That's crazy.
Actually, fun fact. My nationality. Well, I'm American, but my parents are from Cuba.
Right.
Cuba was one of the first. Actually, Cuba was the first country to bring in Chinese slaves for workers. Because when Abraham Lincoln released the slaves, they were buying a lot of tobacco and rum and all that shit from Cuba. So Cuba released their slaves, but then they're like, who's going to do the tobacco and coffee and rum and all this stuff? So they brought Chinese over there. And now there's famous Chinese black, because, you know, it was like the slave with slaves kind of, or ex-slaves. Yeah. So there's a Chinese black artist. There's a few of them that are very, very famous, and now they just one of them passed, and now his artwork's selling for like multi-millions. You know, like crazy.
Of course, after they die.
After, of course,
like anyone else. After they die.
Yeah,
of course. Oh, I didn't know that. It's funny because I know they were. I know at one point they were smuggling Chinese through Canada. So I lived in Canada for a year. One of my sons was born there, and I remember. So this is before 9/11. So I was in Canada when 9/11 happened. And I lived on the border of New York and Canada, small town. And I remember I had my car there, which still had California plates on there.
What's the name of the town?
Called Cornwall. It's like literally right on the border. And then I had to end up working at Walmart in Messina, New York. So right over the border. That was a long story, anyways. Yeah, and one day, the border guys, they knew the situation. They knew my wife was my ex-wife was Canadian, and I had the kids there, and she's pregnant, the whole 9 yards. They didn't want to kick me out of the country, but they're like, you need to work outside the country. So I got a job at Walmart right around the border. And one night I get pulled over by, not at the border because they all know me. Everyone knows me there. But I get pulled over by Border Patrol right by my work, right in front of my work. And I say, oh, sure, I know. The California plate, this is after 9/11 just happened, so I understand. He's like, no, actually, I pulled over because you're Asian. I said, excuse me?
What?
And he goes, you're obviously an American citizen. I am. And the way I talk. And he was like, I'm an American citizen. I'm like, yeah, what happened? He's like, oh, no. He's like, first of all, the California place threw me off because this is like far Canada, New York, like, you know. And he's like, and then obviously because you're Asian. And I was like, what is happening? He's like, because they've been smuggling Asians through the river between Canada and New York. I'm like, no way. And he's like, but obviously you're an American citizen, so you're not one of them. And so all my I worked a graveyard shift, so all my coworkers at the time were standing right in that front door, like looking and laughing. And he goes, do you work here? I'm like, yeah, I'm actually late. I go, they're all laughing because I'm right here.
Late,
he's like, go to work. And I walk in and go, hey, boss, you know why I'm late? Yeah. And they're like, I told you to get pulled over by those California plates, you know, because it's a little odd. Even when this small town, when I lived, small town, literally I was.
What was the population when you say small town?
Oh, man, 44,000.
Wow.
Put it this way, everyone knows everyone's business. I was the third Asian person there. The two other people were old people. Yeah. Literally, so when I came into town, people already knew who I was. You know, because they knew my wife and because her family, so 3 sisters, everyone kind of knew them. Remember, they're French Canadians for the most part, right? So they're all predominantly, you know, white. My ex mixed black and all, so that's why they're very well known. And people are like, oh, I saw your husband, like California plates, Asian dude, young Asian dude, like they were like, this has to be her husband.
100%.
So yeah, it's small, really small town.
What do you think? What are the laws in Canada about carrying guns, and what do you think about California gun laws? Yeah, compared to Nevada.
Canada, I don't know. I know you can get a permit. I've seen it before about owning a gun or even carry, but I don't know if they can carry one. I think they can only. Don't get me wrong, because I don't know Canadian law. At that time, I wasn't into guns at the time, so I don't know for sure. It's Canada. For California laws, I mean, most of it's ridiculous. Right. And I think a lot of people saw that during the pandemic. Right. What do you mean I can't get my gun today? What do you mean I gotta wait 10 days? That's, hey, bro, I didn't vote for them. Right. You know, this is not my rule. This is not the politicians I picked to make these rules. Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because in other states they do background checks and it's like instant, like a couple minutes. Right. Here you go. Have a nice day.
Grab a coffee. Yeah. We'll have an answer.
Yeah. We'll have no problem. Right. It's not that hard in other states. But California also has to do with the registration of firearm to the person as well, to the state as well. They claim it takes a whole 10 days. I think it's a lot faster than that, but I'm not saying it can't take 10 days. But I also think it's kind of ridiculous because here for cops, because I know I have a lot of people who are police officers, it's a lot difficult for them because there's no true guideline for them, by the way. Right?
For police officers
to deal with, especially to deal with. Actually, this goes into the rest of the nation to deal with people carrying a gun, right? I think, as far as my own experience in Las Vegas, it's a lot. They're a lot more chill about it because they kind of know that.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like,
Yeah, I bet the supermarkets in Vegas and people are just open carry or
open carry. And so, but literally, you by law, when you have a concealed weapons permit, at least I know in most states, that if you have a permit and you're carrying a gun, you're supposed to tell the officer, hey, officer, just so you know, I'm carrying a firearm, on my person. It's in this section. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to handle the situation? Like even just getting your ID out. Usually they'll be like
if you just see a random cop
in
the store or something.
No, like if they
pull you over.
They pull you over, right?
Right.
Yeah. You're supposed to let them know that you have a firearm on you, where it is, and so forth. Yeah, because obviously you don't want to get shot either, right?
Right.
Mistaken. But I feel like most cops, if you tell them that, they kind of like, oh, I appreciate you telling me they don't trip out because if you're a criminal, why would you tell them that?
Right.
Right. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you would tell them, hey, I just want to make sure you feel safe. Here's the situation. But yeah, when I moved, before I get to the question, but when I moved to Vegas, I had a situation with myself and my wife and my friends. We were shooting in the desert. We thought we didn't know the rules exactly. And literally a cop pulled up on the mountainside and my friend was like, Mike, there's a cop coming. So I go, everyone unload, drop your gun, step the fuck back. I walked to the officer with my hands up. Officer goes, why do you have your hands up? Making sure you feel safe. He gets out of the car. He goes, you put your hands down. I'm like, what's going on, officer? And he's like, where are you from? I'm like, oh, we're from California. He's like, oh, you guys visiting? We actually just moved here, officer. He's like, oh, great. I'm like, are we doing something wrong? He's like, actually, you're not far in enough the desert to shoot. And I'm thinking, oh, shit, right? I go, well, there's this barricade here. There's shotgun shells. He's like, yeah, these people are idiots. He was explaining how I should do it, right? He tells me the whole technique, get your Google Maps, blah, blah, blah. And I apologize. He's like, no, don't worry about it. No problem. And then I tell the guys, hey, everyone, clean up your guns, clean up your stuff, but do not touch the firearms at all. And he looks at me and I go, I just want to make sure you feel safe. He goes, I appreciate that. Welcome to Las Vegas. And leaves. Doesn't wash me, clean up, just leaves.
That's fucking amazing.
And we clean up. We move in further and we shoot. We had a good time. No problem. But they're used to it.
Yeah.
But out here or anywhere else,
no, they're fucking, they lose their shit.
Yeah, put you in cuffs just to make sure they're safe. But as far as the laws are concerned, there's a lot of laws and they change all the time. Right. But yeah, with California from their AR laws, bottom line is, look, like for instance, one of the most ridiculous laws they have is you can only buy a handgun and now a semi-automatic centered fire rifle every 30 days. That's when you buy.
Right.
But you can buy used ones from like a friend. You can buy 20 handguns at one time. I would be more worried about a person buying 20 handguns at one time.
Right.
Versus someone buying 2 new handguns.
Yeah, there's no logic behind it.
It makes no sense. Like, how can then if I was going to do a criminal act, I just buy used guns.
Right.
If I need, and
obviously,
and
if you're going to do a criminal act, well, you use. Why would you use the new one?
Right. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like, why does it make sense?
Well, what's stupid is all the laws that they make. It's not affecting
the criminals.
The criminals.
Yeah, no, not
criminals
at all.
buy
not
fucking guns wherever they want.
Right.
They're not doing the background checks.
Yeah.
All they're doing is making it more difficult for
law-abiding
citizens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all the rules.
And nobody gets that.
Right.
Nobody fucking gets that.
No, and all the rules. Yeah, basically, if the law-abiding citizen, breaks the rules, they're penalized for it. Right.
Right.
At this moment, in LA, criminals, he can go out the door. Don't worry about it. It's like, dude.
Literally, they just book them and get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. That's exactly what happens.
Do you want your gun back? It's fucking insane.
It's ridiculous.
And to me, it's back. You're in the industry, so you've seen all the fucking posts. It's like if we're gonna blame guns for killing people, then we should blame trucks for running over people and killing people, and we should blame everything else, and not people for killing people.
I'm gonna say something.
People.
I'm gonna say something that you don't ever hear, right? And I'm not saying I should put blame on these individual peoples who work in the government doing background checks, but how come they're not blamed? Because they're the ones doing background checks. I'm not saying they're not doing their job,
right?
But you don't blame them because ultimately, in the end, no gun shop who's following the rules, legally doing it, can let a gun go, even in other states, without the approval of the background check.
Right.
Right? But no one blames because that's the government.
But what do you think?
I
mean, I believe, and again, you've heard this too, but we have a mental health issue in the United States. Yes. So what would be, you being in the industry, you seeing how Vegas is, you seeing how California is, how would you try to fix it or recommend to fix it? Because we have a mental health issue. Yeah. And the other question I'm going to add to that is that fucking test that you got to take. You already know where I'm going with this.
Right.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Right.
And yes, the first thing I think is, well, I guess if you don't pass this, you shouldn't have a gun. But like, it's retarded.
Okay.
Excuse me. I mean, it's
dumb.
It's fucking retardedly dumb.
It's dumb.
How about that? I said it.
Okay, so let's talk about test first. That test basically, when you get the certificate, is basically it's California's charging you $25 to exercise your right. That's what it costs. It costs $25 to take this test. It's a 30-question test, right? 10 questions are true and false. The rest are multiple choice. And you're right, it's ridiculous. The people who don't pass this test typically are people who don't speak English very well, right? Like maybe they can speak English okay, but they can't read it very well. So there's a couple of trick questions the way they word them, but overall, 95% easily pass, right? It's not that hard
Without studying.
without studying, right? But even some of the questions on there, like I always tell people, there's 2 questions about the age of buying a long gun and a handgun. Handgun's 21
and then 18.
18 federal law, but in California it's 21. So there's the first answer for everybody. It's 21. Stick with 21, right? That changed a couple years ago, but the idea of the age thing, in my opinion, is so dumb to have a question because as a consumer, you don't need to know that, right? If I'm a bartender and you walk in a bar, you get into the bar underage somehow, and you show me ID, and go, it's my job to know that you can't have a drink when you're under 21. Right. That's my job, right? That's what it is. So I tell people it's kind of dumb to know the
common knowledge for somebody else that you're not even controlling the product that you're selling them.
Someone walks in and goes, "Hey, I want to buy a gun. How old are you?" "I'm 20. Sorry, you can't buy a gun." That's it. It's for me to know. It doesn't.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It's kind of dumb.
It's just a waste of ink.
Right. And but yeah. So some of the questions are fine, but some of them are they're kind of dumb.
Right. A lot of them are dumb.
Yeah, a lot of them are dumb.
I don't think any of them were like,
I mean, like some questions I will agree that spark up conversation. Like, hey, I didn't know how long. Like, if you had a felony, how long do you cannot possess a gun? It's forever, right? Unless you get pardoned or something. Or you get your felony expunged.
That one's tricky. That one's tricky because most people will get rid of their felony.
Right. But I mean, some you can't. If it's really violent, you can't get rid of it. So, as far as I know, okay.
Right.
Oh, and I should have said this earlier when we started the podcast, but anything I say is strictly for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Consult your lawyer.
I'll add that. I'll add that in the beginning.
Yeah. Consult your lawyer. But yeah, like the question's kind of dumb, and the whole thing is other states don't have that.
Now, when you say other states,
like
you mean like one state?
No,
or like
most states do not have a test you have to take.
Like more than half? Like more than 25 states?
Yeah, I'd say more. Yeah. I say the only ones are like New York, Massachusetts, California. Right. Yeah.
Chicago,
right.
which has the most gun violence, and they have the strictest gun rules out there. Are laws easing up in California?
No, they're getting worse.
They're
progressively worse.
Because I thought they passed the mag cap and everything else, no?
The magazine capacity?
Yeah.
No, they did not. No.
No, that's bullshit. Fake news.
No, they're not. They didn't pass that. No.
Freedom Week, any hope?
Nope.
Nothing, huh?
No. I have a friend who's a federal judge, and he always retired federal judge. He's a good guy. We always go back and forth. Because if there's something I don't understand, I'm like, hey, bro, explain this to me, because all the legal mumbo jumbo and stuff like that. So he explains it to me. And so yeah, he's always watching that too. He's always keeping. He texted me today about something else. So we're always trying to keep up with the laws, but I mean they just keep changing. Even like, for instance, from my understanding. So I had a friend who's not retired. He was ATF agent for over 30 years. So he's my go-to guy. And he told me, like, obviously before I was in the industry, he told me, like, back in the, I guess, DOJ, California Department of Justice, and ATF, you should use do some kind of like platform or forum or something at some point, right? But then they stopped doing it because ATF realized, bro, all the questions were DOJ because they keep changing every year. Well, ATF, I'm not saying ATF doesn't change rules, but I mean, it's like, I'm not saying, I mean, probably it's changed more in the last, decade. Right. Prior to that, man, they had the same rules for like 30 years. So no one had questions for them.
Right.
DOJ every year.
What's the incentive for California to be so fucking strict? Because doesn't it limit them on gun cells and bullet cells and ammunition and all that stuff? Like, what's the agenda?
So I think, and I have no scientific data to prove this, but I think that, number one, California politicians strictly, for the most part, are against guns. They want to get rid of them. If they could, they would, right? It's not like they haven't tried. They've tried multiple times. So that's that. Their agenda is to get rid of them. But I guess in like human nature, and I've had a lot of customers over the years, the same thing. Well, the government's telling me I can't have that gun. I want that one.
Right.
Straight rebellion. Like I think it's people's a small piece of people going, this is how I'm rebelling to the government, right? Just going, you guys want to tell me what to do? Well, fuck you.
Right.
And I've had people come literally buy guns. I had one guy go, I don't even like guns, but if the government said I can't have it, I want to buy two of those. Yeah, strictly just in rebellion. So it's like, I bet you so I live in Las Vegas, right? So when I moved there, big gun guy, a whole 9 yards. And I haven't managed a gun store in Vegas for a while, right? You would think now Vegas, I could buy suppressors, I could buy everything.
And the same day?
Same day, right? In the last 3 years I've lived there, I have bought 2 guns. Now, as a Californian, this is like your dream. You can have all these what we call off roster. And what the roster is a list of handguns being able to be sold in California, right? So you're restricted. In Vegas, you can buy whatever you want. I've only bought 2 guns in like 3-4 years. Anybody else would have been like, oh man, it's over. I'm going to spend my life savings to buy everything they ever wanted. But I guess also because I've been in the industry for so long, to me, a gun's a gun.
I think that happens because it's like Spain, gives children or teenagers wine, in a lot of countries alcohol's open. But in United States we have an alcohol problem.
Sure.
You know, and it's that, I just turned 21. I can, it's crazy. It's a problem when you restrict people from it, or it's like the whole, having a daughter or a girl and don't date that guy and
they want to do it.
You can't go out. And
they're
the
I have
ones
sisters,
sneaking out, and they're like,
I have sisters. I know how this. But you're absolutely right because my son who lives in Canada, one of my, he was telling me how we're talking about the COVID shot and vaccine and stuff like that, and so he got it, and I said, well, why'd you get it? And he's like, because after work one day, Dad, I went with my friends to go to a bar at 19. Right, they're 19 years old. They go to a bar there.
Right.
And it was like, what? I couldn't get in because I had vaccine, so I felt kind of stupid. I'm like,
I couldn't get in because I wasn't vaccinated?
Because he wasn't vaccinated.
Got it.
And I was like, and it just turned me out. I'm like, wow. So basically, I don't want to say all of Canada, but in certain portions, like you can drink at 19. So 21 is not a big deal.
No.
Turning 21 is not a big deal, right? At all.
Right.
While here, I can drink alcohol. I mean, most people drink alcohol underage, but I mean, you can legally drink, you can gamble, problem. You can go to Vegas, you can do all those things at 21. So it's a big deal here. But they're like, no, it's not a big deal.
Around the world.
Around
the world, you don't have that issue. And you don't have the alcoholic problem that you have in the United States.
Right. And I said, it's the same. I mean, without getting into politics, but, when, in some states they legalize marijuana, right? I'm not a marijuana user, and I'm not against it either. Right? I have friends, I have no issues with it, right? But federally it's illegal, right? Still, it's kind of like just make it legal. Honestly, I go, you should actually make every drug legal because if crack was legal, I'm not gonna try crack. I'm not gonna. I mean, people do it anyway, regardless if it's legal or not. So that's the point. I do legalize it.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is when you make stuff illegal, you're not preventing anybody from doing it. But what's happening now is people are getting cheaper shit of it.
Yeah.
So, for example, weed or marijuana is legal in California. Now you can go to the store and get tested, passed. You could see the results. Weed. Yeah. Now, if you remember getting weed in the 90s, you had to call 3 friends, and then you had to meet this dude in the back of an alley, and then you couldn't even fucking look at it. Right. And then the guy was humongous, and he was probably black, and he could probably fuck you up, and you didn't even know if he's going to rob you. Right. And then when you get weed, it had stems and seeds, and shit would pop when you light it up. Like, fucking, this is a terrible experience, and it's fucked up. Same thing happens with cocaine, heroin, all these fucking drugs, is that you're not preventing anybody from doing it, but now people are chopping it up and cutting it, and you can't see the results. And where people get really fucked up is when they get that shitty crossed mix whatever the fuck they're smoking or inhaling or taking, whatever the case is. So they should legalize it. Oregon just legalized everything.
Did they really?
Like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Everything.
I think I heard that,
Everything. And now we're going to legalize mushrooms and shit like that. And it's not more people are going to do it. It's just you're going to get better quality if you do it.
And if you get better quality, then you don't have complications. Like you go to Colombia and you do like Coke over there or something, it's premium stuff. It's like in a fucking tray. Like it's different. It's when people mix it and chop it up. That's the problem.
Right. I mean, I remember you saying that because I remember when I went to the hospital, I worked at MRI and we used to do one of my techs used to do like studies. That's what he kind of did and stuff like that. He was a really smart dude. And one day I was like, I remember we had we were just having these people come in day like a whole week, and I'm like, some people are like normal because it was after a certain period of time, and these are test patients, right?
Right.
And some people literally look like crack addicts. So I was like, dude, what's this patient look at it? And you go, we're giving him cocaine. I go, wait, what? And he goes, I guess they were testing something. I think it's cocaine. Something happens with cocaine after the heart expands, but after the person dies, it goes back to normal. And they're trying to figure out why. That was a study. So they give him like liquid, like premium, like cocaine, right? And he goes, do you want to be in the study, bro? He goes, so after they give it to you, they give you a medication, and they tell them
all excited. Do you want to do it, bro?
Yeah,
like I can
they tell all the people, because there's some people who are addicts and who were, right? That's what it was. And they were telling people like who are addicts, you cannot do this for 15 days because it will not work on you.
Right.
This medication they were giving them. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, so we just give you the cocaine, you feel it, do the MRI, and then we give you the stuff, you're fine. I'm like, no, I'm good. Because I'm not that kind of person. I'm just like, no, I'm good. It's cool.
What's crazy to me is if you compare alcohol,
right,
compared to like some drugs,
sure,
like it does so much more damage.
Sure.
And alcohol is one of those things that if you're like a hardcore alcoholic, you can't even quit cold turkey because you could die. Like your body will be like, well, I don't know exactly what the medical terminology is, but it's if you're hardcore, you cannot quit. You have to cut back slowly because your body's almost like relying on that much alcohol running through your blood.
I mean, I guess.
And then cigarettes, same thing. Like cigarettes are more addicting than fucking heroin. I've heard.
Right. And I don't know about more than heroin. I have a friend that would tell me like, man, heroin is like the best thing you could ever use. Right? It's like better than sex. I'm like, I guess it depends who you're having sex with. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it depends how you're having sex. Are you doing it with heroin or no heroin? Yeah, right. I guess.
Right.
Can you have sex on heroin? Because isn't heroin just like? Well,
I guess you're out of it. Well, I mean, I want to know.
Right.
Strictly.
Nor I. Yeah, no, like.
Right. But no. But I smoked I smoked when I was younger, and then I quit for 8 years, and then I smoked again after my divorce. And
Asians smoke fucking crazy, man.
But I actually just quit in August. This past August, after 12 years of smoking, I quit after I got COVID.
I quit every time I put one out. I just quit an hour ago.
And it's funny because my wife used to smoke too. She'd be like, "Do you ever miss it?" I said, "I don't fiend for it. Like I need one, but sometimes I miss the act of having one. Not really the feeling of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still buy cigarettes today because I buy all my cigarettes for my coworkers in Vegas. It's so much cheaper.
They're cheaper here.
No, cheaper there.
There, yeah.
Yeah. So I have cartons of cigarettes in my backpack going to the airport.
That's hilarious.
Man, I was like, yeah, I'll buy it for you guys. I don't really mind.
How is this flying thing every day?
So I fly every week.
Every week.
Yeah. So basically, when I'm in LA, I stay with my mom. I grew up here, right? It's my stomping ground. So I stay with my mom. I was staying 5 days a week. I would fly home, and this started back in July of 2019 when I came back. But yeah, I mean, I fly out of Burbank Airport because I work in Burbank. It's real quick, no big deal.
Yeah.
Go back and forth. I mean, sometimes it was some days it's fine. Some days it's like, oh man, my flight's at 6 o'clock in the morning. Shit, not gonna get airport by 5 or whatever situation is. My wife schedules all my flights, and typically I don't have that. I mean, there was one point for 2 months I flew from Vegas to Oakland to Burbank in the morning. I was like,
oh my god,
yeah, to go to Burbank. Oh shit, yeah. So
a lot of people do that too. I just can't wrap my head around it.
And it said it's only a typically 45-hour flight max.
Yeah.
And Burbank's so easy. If it was
and
LAX,
you got TSA pre-check.
No, I don't even need it. I just walk in and it's funny because actually Burbank, a lot of people know me there, all the cops and stuff.
Yeah.
They all kind of know me. I know the chief of police there at the airport. So
you just go through no problem.
Yeah, I mean typically no problem. And it's fast because it's such a small airport, But when I come back to Vegas, now, have you ever been to
McCarran?
Well, now it's called Harry Reid. It just changed because of something. McCarran was a racist or something, whatever, right? So it's called Harry Reid.
That went through, huh?
Yeah, so dumb. It's so dumb. It's just like, dude, it is what it is, right? But if you go through that airport's really confusing, right?
Very.
I've never been to the international side because I've never flown international out there. But now the domestic side, I know it so well. And I remember my in-laws came from Vegas. And they're like, where do we go? What gate did you land? Okay, you're going to make a left here. You're walking. I'm like,
it's
walking
fucking confusing, yeah. And it's humongous.
It's humongous, yeah.
But have you ever flown JSX?
Yeah, I have. I've flown it, which is a really nice experience.
That's the easiest.
That's yeah.
And you're closer to the strip, and you're closer to. I fucking love that.
That was a fun experience, and that plane's faster. I assume because it's lighter.
Right.
But I remember going, I got to Burbank real fast. That was fast, right? I've only flown there once. I would have normally fly with them, but then at the time they didn't have any points rewards at the time, and I was starting to come back to LA, and I was like, man, I should get like something I should know. So I was obviously Southwest. Yeah. But yeah, so I flew all the time. But when the pandemic hit, when everything shut down in March, I ended up driving to Vegas every week.
Oh,
I drove from March.
I can't stand driving anymore.
To the third week of December. In that time period, in that 9 month or whatever it was, I clocked 20,000 miles on according to Waze. Told me,
yeah,
congratulations. I'm like, I didn't want to know that, but
you're like, this is a terrible congratulations.
Yeah, I don't want to know that. And then so on Labor Day weekend, they had a flight at like 7:30, so I was able to fly home. And in October, I got married, so obviously I got a couple days off and got married.
Congrats.
Thanks. This is the world's smallest handcuff,
Right.
So, actually, the funny part is that I got married in Vegas because that's where I want, because we lived there, whole 9 yards. But I also got married in the same chapel that my ex and I got married. My wife knows that.
So
my wife knows
weird.
It. My wife knows.
Does she know that now? Or
no,
she knew that then?
I go, honey, this is. She's like, but it actually, the chapel I got married at has come up.
It doesn't matter, but it's funny how some people stick to it. That's cool. Your wife.
Yeah. Oh, my wife's cool. Shit. And so, but that chapel in 20 years has come up, bro. Out of all the chapels, I'm like, damn, this is a lot. They came up big time. So I can see why they appeal to this particular chapel. Right. But it was just kind of funny. I'm like, you sure you want to get? You sure want to get married here? I go, and when I walked in, I'm like, dude, this is not the same chapel. Like, it expanded out so many different rooms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, or so many different chapels. I'm like, damn, this is.
Isn't it weird how like in our lifetime there is different lifetimes, like complete, like when you got married there the first time, it was a different church, it was a different person, it was a different time. The kids, it was a different lifetime. Yeah. And now it's like, whoa, this has changed, and now I got kids and.
Oh yeah, definitely. I said many years, like in my personal YouTube channel, which I can't even get into because I can't know the password or anything. But there's like videos of so I have a video of I'm filming a go-go dancer in a club, right?
Nice, normal.
But that was literally when I was going through a divorce, and when my friend was going through cancer treatment, and he's partying, right? Second time about cancer. Unfortunately, he passed away for me. So we're just having a good time. So that YouTube channel was just about, my channel was just about putting up videos of my kids, whatever. Then all of a sudden, like years later, it's all gun stuff. So yeah,
you
it's
can
different life. It's kind of like, wow, like, oh wow.
How do you like Vegas? Like living in Vegas?
I love it. I
do.
I do. There's a couple things I'd warn people about. Number one, if you don't like heat, okay.
That's only 2 months out of the year. That's what people don't understand.
Well, and what also people understand is that, okay, yeah, it's hot. I'm not saying it's not hot, right?
Right.
But it's not humid.
Right.
So I said, if you stay out of the sun, you're fine, right?
Right.
It's dry heat, right? And for me, I like the heat more than I like cold.
Right. Which is another point for global warming. Global warming is a lot better than global freezing, like for real.
So, I've never heard it put that way. That's funny.
But it's true,
right? But I mean, like I said, I love Vegas. I mean, the roads are wider, a lot wider, and it's kind of. And when
is there anything more than the Strip?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I mean, that's kind of how you look at it. You're kind of like, is there
people that visit this? Yeah,
Strip. Yeah. I mean, locals. Don't go to the Strip. We don't go to the Strip unless we have friends and family that want to go to the Strip. We don't we never go to the Strip. Like,
there's plenty to do out there.
When was the last time I've ever been to a hotel? I mean, like, it's been a long time. I don't really go there. I said unless family or friends are here, and then we go. I mean, obviously, I went to the hotel for the big industry show in January past called the SHOT Show. So obviously, I was in the hotels at that time. because in the convention centers they were having it. But other than that, dude, I haven't been in a hotel. People are, oh, you seen that hotel? I seen it. Never been in it.
Yeah.
Because I have no desire to go in it. There's no reason for me to go in it. But roads are wider, right? There's almost no traffic other than the Strip, of course. And in Vegas,
No, but there's traffic.
if there's traffic,
There's traffic. What do they call it? The soup
spaghetti
bowl,
bowl.
the spaghetti bowl.
Yeah. No,
there's
depending on where.
and especially now with the stadium.
Yeah,
and
but that's
more on the strip still,
right? Yeah. So when you're outside, I tell people all the time. Here's the thing: in Vegas, if you run into traffic, there's one of two things it can be: it's construction or a car accident, right?
Right.
But in LA,
There's just traffic.
you're like, why?
You know
get
why
to
it's
this
called?
point, you're like,
You know why it's called the 405 freeway, right?
why is that?
Because you're on it for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, no shit.
You're going 4 or 5 miles per hour.
right. And it's like, why? Right?
Yeah.
So at least
And it's usually, and the other reason is because there's usually a Prius fucking holding up. Because I ride motorcycles everywhere. And sometimes I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, and I get to the front, it's like 2 Priuses, like looking at their gas mileage and texting. And I'm like, you motherfuckers, you guys are holding up traffic. I fucking hate Priuses. I'm sorry. I can't stand, I don't know what you drove in.
No.
I can't stand, I swear to anything that 80, if not 90% of times that I saw traffic, when I got to the front,
it's a fucking Prius.
fucking Prius. Fucking Prius.
right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah, but other than that, also I believe that if you are older, you have kids and stuff like that, then you're kind of like, I'm not here to party. That's kind of
your priorities are different.
Yeah, that's what I think. If you're young, it might be a
And
different
there's
story.
a lot of family things to do. They have like a lot of movie theaters, paintballing, laser tags.
Yeah.
They have events. They have like it's a very popping place. Like
But I think also like it's kind of like so I grew up,
Summerlin's fucking banging.
Banging right
now. There's
now.
a new town in front of Summerlin that's now growing, right?
yeah, I'm trying to remember.
It's a new construction.
Yeah, there's a lot of construction. That's the thing, but and Vegas builds very, very fast.
Very
Right?
fast.
They're
That
very
fucking
fast.
stadium was what, 3 years, like
right.
a month.
If that was in Cali, bro, I'd be like 10 years, bro.
Oh, easy. Easy.
Because I always joke
There's
around
so
like
many rules and regulations.
that's
and
what. Yeah. Well,
I have a friend. He bought a house in Malibu. He started Airbnb-ing it, and then there was a fire in the place.
Yeah.
Anyways, he wasn't allowed to fix it. But Malibu has their own fucking community and inspectors and blah blah blah. It took 2 years. It took almost 3 years. 2 years and 8 months to finally fix a wall and some patio stuff. Like very simple shit, but he didn't have the permits. People didn't. It was a mess. It was a shit show.
Actually, my friend, I don't know where he lives. He lives in LA somewhere. Actually, he just told me this last week. So he bought a house, and they have this tree in the backyard.
Yeah.
And it's huge, right? The canopy's over the next neighbor. The next neighbor likes the tree. Doesn't mind if it goes over his yard, right? Well, he found out he can't even trim the tree. It's like it's protected. I was like, what? And it's protected. Literally,
It's on his property
It's in his
line.
backyard.
It's in his back. Wow.
and he cannot cut it, right? And he wants to cut it, but he cannot legally cut it because this tree is protected.
And the neighbor likes it.
I was thinking maybe your neighbor can complain with you, but nope. And so the neighbor likes it because it gives him shade or something like that. That's what he's told, right? And the only time they could uproot that tree if it destroys his foundation of the house. I'm like, that's
when it's
bullshit.
too late, yeah.
That's bullshit, dude.
That's
Really?
fucked up. And then same thing right here in the hills, like Mulholland. They,
Okay.
they also have their own community thing for the houses. If
Like
you
HOA,
want-
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
HOA. If you want to build or take down
Yeah.
or whatever, not even an HOA. There's just like a Mulholland mountain. You live here, you need permission from us, and it's a fucking shit show.
No shit. Yeah, because I mean, obviously in Vegas there's a lot of HOA too. In certain parts they don't. It's hard to find a certain part of Vegas that has no HOA.
Right.
And while HOA is kind of pain in the ass here and there, I mean, it's not like Cali where I pay $50 for HOA, right?
Monthly.
I've seen people in Cali like $500. I'm like, damn, that's crazy,
Bro, $500. If anything, I would say it would be the average.
Right, sure.
Like it's probably more.
I mean, that's crazy. I'm like, that's fucking crazy, dude. $500, like,
it's fucking a lot of money.
right. And so, like, for us, I mean, I have HOA, and honestly, I mean, for the most part, my HOA, they'll tell me in your backyard is pretty much your old man's land. You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because we can't really see it. It's just the front. Okay, whatever. Sometimes like my light bulb went out in the front porch. They took a picture sending me like, Hey, okay, I'll go fix it. No big deal. Here's a picture. It's fixed.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Done. Not a big deal.
Not a real
Pay a fucking $25 and done.
And like I said, and they have in my community, they have because I live above Summerlin. Where I live,
Like by Red Rock?
it's in Centennial Hills, way up right northwest. And then I remember I can't remember the day. I think every month we have a big trash pickup that comes every like once a month. I was like, that's kind of cool. People, I don't remember what days, but I go, oh,
Wait, what do you mean?
like couches, you can just throw.
Oh,
them.
the big,
and they come every once a month. They come. I'm like, no shit. So you gotta get rid of big shit, just throw it out in front.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I watch other people, I'm like, oh, it's coming.
that time,
Do
yeah.
anything else? I can throw this out and no big deal. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Because out here, you're like, what the fuck? How do I get rid of this?
I mean,
It's so bad you don't know what to do sometimes. Like Burbank, you can call.
Yeah.
You know, but like here it gets weird and other places gets weird. And this is why people start throwing shit in random places.
Did you go up here?
I grew up mostly in LA. Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly, in the Valley. I did live in the Central Coast for a little bit. And I lived in Northern California for a little bit. But California, you know.
What year were you born? If you want me asking age?
82.
82. Okay, so you're not that far from you. Okay, I was born in 78. So, you know, where I live, where my mom lives now, which is now like the hottest place to live, right? One of the hottest places to live, Atwater Village. But dude,
Back then, yeah.
90s was gangland.
Atwater's was badass.
Gangland.
And you know what was crazy about Atwater back then? And Glendale?
Yeah,
There
well-
wasn't Armenians, but there was a lot of Cubans. There was a lot of Cubans, and we had the Cuban comparsa. Like it was full, especially Atwater. I still know Cubans that lived out there, but yeah.
But yeah, Atwater and Glendale, all that area, it's all gangs, right? It's all back in the 90s, all gangs. I tell people when you want to get rid of something, just throw it outside. Someone's gonna pick it up.
Somebody's gonna pick it up, yeah.
It always happens. Now it doesn't happen anymore. You know, in Atwater, I don't.
Nobody wants shit.
No, it's just also.
Well, Atwater's kind of nice now.
It's really nice, right? And like, I don't think it's worth. The houses are not worth what they're worth, right? You know, not even close. You know,
Not even close. Have you seen North Hollywood?
Yeah, bro.
Oh my God, bro. 1.5?
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah, you know, my in-laws live in Elysian Valley, which we call Frogtown, by the river, LA River, where it runs through the neighborhoods, and like they live at a dead end, right? They've lived there for a long time. Their house right there sold $1.5 million. I'm like, really? To live next to the river? It's crazy.
fucking
It's
terrible,
crazy. It's like, dude, you know. But Atwater's the same thing. Every house is $1 million. You know, my mom rents her home, and it's a 2-bedroom home in the front and a single bedroom, which hasn't been rented in a decade, right?
Yeah.
The owner doesn't care. He's like, I'm done with this.
Over it.
The whole property is worth $1 million. I don't want to say worth, but it's, you know.
Right.
But it's funny because the house my mom rents, I think it was built in the 1920s. It has the milkman cart on the side of the house for the milkman.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, bro, $1 million, you're tripping. You know, and in my house in Vegas, I bought it for $237, 3-bedroom house, you know, 3 bathroom, 2.5 bathrooms, 2 storage room, like 2-car garage. Like, dude, it's tripping.
Super tripping. Yeah, Vegas, you can get some super deals.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember like 3-4 years ago, I was looking at some houses,
Yeah.
and it's like for $700,000, you can have a fucking
Like a
mansion,
mansion.
like
Yeah.
like fucking 5-car garage,
I saw this house before I moved to Vegas. I saw this house.
4,800 square feet, like crazy.
No, I saw this house for sale. It was like it was in the millions. It was, I want to say it was like $6 million when I saw it, like Redfin or whatever. This house had 12 bedrooms, like a bathroom, a spa, a 60s styles diner, a movie theater. Like for $6 million, I was like, see, that's worth it. You know, like,
For $6 million?
yeah, it had like all kinds of crazy shit. I'm like, what? I saw a picture. I'm like, see, that would be worth it.
It was like 10,000 square feet. Or something
Yeah,
like that.
I was like, what the fuck? 12 bedrooms? Like, what the? Like, yeah, it was crazy.
It's a fucking hotel.
Yeah, I was like, dude, see, that would be worth it.
Right.
You know, for $6 million. $6 million here is not that. It's probably not that bad.
You'd be surprised. You
Right.
get some really, really, really shitty shit. There were some houses. There was a house for like $15 million in Encino. And don't get me wrong, it was fucking amazing. But like Encino, $15 million. What are you talking about? Like it's not Malibu or Beverly Hills or
Right.
stuff like that. And the crazy thing is, there's stuff for $100 million. There's things for 100, and there's not like one or two. There's like a lot of properties for 100 million, 152 million, 100. I'm like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah. I mean, the housing market is a crazy story, especially with everything going on. And you know, with like, so I during the pandemic or the beginning when I bought my house, I got into woodworking.
Right.
And man, and seeing wood prices go crazy. I'm like, are you serious, bro? Like,
Yeah, wood got fucking crazy.
and it's going back expensive now. All right,
It went down.
It went down?
It went down. I was buying a lot of wood like a few months ago.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
bro, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Now it's kind of like, now it's like what? Now it's back to like $4 for a 2x4, 8
Yeah.
foot.
Well, now it's like, it's right now. I know a sheet of plywood, depending on what brand, what have you. But I remember at one point it was like $45 a sheet sanded plywood. Next thing you know, it's like $70 a sheet for the same thing. I'm like, dude, that's tripping.
Right.
You know, up to $100 a sheet. I'm like, so a lot of my projects were on hold because I'm like, I'm not paying this much money for. I know what this is.
Yeah.
Like, dude, for $100, I can buy really good wood.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for this. So I had to hold up all my projects just because of that. So I was like, all right, but I got back into it because the price went down. My wife's like, yeah, you can buy it. So I'm buying it. And now I'm watching my honey. She's like, honestly, honey, just finish your project. And then,
Yeah.
and then whatever it is, because I've been trying to build her a walk-in closet for a long time now since we moved in the house.
Yeah.
But the pandemic hit and all
Yeah,
kinds of
a lot
stuff
of-
happened. And it was like,
This pandemic really fucked up people's lives and set things back.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
well, it's sad to say because for us, for my wife and I, we would say that the pandemic, 2020 was a very good year for us. We bought our first home together. We got married, right? So it was like, yeah, we had a good 2020, and like, no problem. But unfortunately for most people, it was, a bad situation. Then 2021, we're like, had a baby, like we had, for other people, like, this thing sucks.
Were you able to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
Because they were doing like in California, it's like
Right.
nobody can visit.
Well, 2021, it was fine already at this point, right?
Right.
2020 would have been a different story, But if you look at the laws and what was going on in 2020, it was like, okay, wait, you can have more than 20 people at a funeral, but you can have 100 people at a protest. How does that
that's
make fucking sense?
retarded. Yeah.
I was like, how did that make fucking sense, right? I'm like, what? So that whole thing was, that would have been a different story. But I mean, 2021, I was in the delivery room, whole 9 yards, no problem. Yeah, and actually, my son was born in Centennial Hospital, which is right next to my house, by the way. It's only 3 minutes ahead.
Perfect.
But best labor and delivery, best I've ever seen. I was so impressed, like just how good they were. But for me, I like to crack jokes. So the crazy thing was, my two brothers.
Yeah.
My brother Dom, he had my niece on August 30th, right? And my son was born October 27th, and my younger brother, who lives in Vegas, he had my other niece 1 hour after my kid in the same hospital and next door to each other.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so that whole scenario, all the nurses were like, they were all rooting for the same day. They're all like, everybody was like, okay, and we're like, we're trying, we're trying. It was pretty funny, but then the doctor literally, after my son was born, after the whole night, doctor cleaned up her tools, everything. She looks at the nurse, she goes, how much time? I go, you got 7 minutes. She's like, yeah, it's not gonna happen.
It's
Literally
not
cleaned
gonna
up,
happen.
walked right next door to deliver my niece.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so they're born like an hour apart. And it's like, I told my wife, if you held on for like 15 minutes, they would have been born the same day. She's like, fuck that.
That's fucking insane. Did you hear about that baby right now that was born on 2/22/22 at 2/22?
I briefly saw like a
Funny
post.
that's national news, but
Right. Well, I mean, my wife and I got married on 10/10/2020. Right?
10/10/2020. Yeah.
You know what's funny about it? When I wanted to make the reservation, they're like, oh, it's a busy day. I go, why? They go, it's 10/10/2020. I go, and? Like, I didn't understand. I go, what's the big deal? They're like, the date. I go, oh. And they go, you're not looking for the date. They're trying to pick a different day. I go, my wife was off that day.
Right.
Literally.
Like,
that's why we're getting
that's
married.
it.
She's off. She's off that weekend.
Oh, and people were picking it.
Picking it for 10.
because 10/10.
But for us, it was just, that was the weekend that
was when she was off.
Perfect timing. Family can come. That's what it was. We didn't care about the date. It was like, I don't care about the date. I just, but I told my wife, at least you won't forget.
Yeah, my newborn was going to be born on the 20th, and then my wife looks down and she's like, it's 1/19/19. Take me to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Like, what? She's like, take me to the hospital. This is a good time to have a baby. What, 1919? So she hit it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I said it was an interesting experience. I have videos of my wife dancing in the labor, trying to get the baby out, and she's a trooper, man. Because they were going to induce the labor, so I'm like, oh, you get Pitocin, you're gonna need epidural.
Watch out with that.
Oh, sorry.
No,
You're gonna need
you're
epidural. whole 9 yards. You're in pain. Nah.
She took it like a champ.
Epidural went in, and they were like, "You don't feel anything?" She's like, "No."
That's
and like,
insane.
they're like, "Oh, how many centimeters down?" She's 6 centimeters down. Like, you don't feel nothing? She's like, "No." I'm like, seriously? Like,
Wow.
and all the doctors are like, "You sure you're good?" She's like, "I'm totally fine." Like, am I supposed to feel something? And then finally, like 7, she's like, "I can feel a little pressure, like getting there." You know, she was a trooper.
Yeah.
But my brother's girlfriend, when she was in the hospital, she was in there in pain, looking like she was dying. She was like, "Tell me, when does it be over?"
Yeah, some people.
And I said, "How many centimeters?" My brother goes, "She's 3." I'm like, "Fuck, dude!" And you're in like this much pain. You still
Knock her out.
Yeah, you still got ways to go. So it was very different.
30% there.
Oh yeah, sorry. You know, but it was funny because I was joking around the night before with the nurses thing. They're like, "Oh, do you have an extra cot?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you know." And they're like, "Oh, do you have another one?" For my side chick, right? And so when my brother came in the hospital with his girlfriend, they're right across the room from the triage. So I walk in the triage. All the nurses look at me like, "Where's he going?" So I'm like, I'm talking to them, this and that, and they come out. They're like, "Oh, can we help you?" I go, "Oh yeah, my brother's girlfriend's in there. She's having my niece." What I should have said was, "Oh, my side chick's in there." And what's funny, they told me it happens.
I'm sure.
And I'm like, dude, that's hilarious.
I'm sure. Some fucking pimp, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's my wife, my side chick, keep them apart.
Which one's here? Fuck, yeah, tell me. I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, no shit.
Does your wife carry a gun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, pretty much everywhere. Same thing. She does. She's a firearms instructor as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So my wife used to work at the shop for 4 years. Obviously, before we moved,
Is that how you guys met?
No, actually, my boss was like, "Hey, does she want to work here?" One day,
Yeah.
Because my boss is always looks for people. Like obviously, it's before it was easy to recommend people,
Right.
You know, like people recommending, and because they want people who they can trust. Like if I trust them, then you know. But for my wife, they asked me, like, "Do you think she want to work here?" I was like, "I could ask her," you know.
Yeah.
And. Yeah, and honestly, my boss loves her. And like, she was not as good as a salesperson, but in the end, she ended up going to the back running, which is very, very hard operation there. But yeah, I mean, she did everything for him. Bill paid, everything. He never had to worry. I didn't have to worry about anything because she's very organized.
Yeah.
And he's like, I never had to worry about anything, you know. So, but yeah, that's now we were already dating for a long time at that point. So, but yeah.
Do you remember? And this is like the downside of craziness of guns. But do you remember that you know the gun range by Costco?
Yeah, the Burbank Fireline. Yeah.
Remember, I think it was 2009, 2010. I was in Burbank at the time, where somebody went and rented a gun and shot themselves, and then that happened twice. And then they changed the rule that if you were going to rent a gun, you had to go with a friend.
So I can't comment fully on Burbank Fireline,
Right?
But I'll tell you,
I'm
most
just trying
gun
to
ranges.
remember when it happened, like something like that. Because I only read it. I never.
So
verified
in
it.
gun ranges, it happens, unfortunately, right? And so Burbank's always had a policy for a long time, for years, that if you're going to rent a firearm, you have to be in a party of 2, and someone has to know how to use a firearm. That's their rule.
So this is like something that's been practiced for a while.
For a while, right? But now, someone can be a member of a gun range, and if they're a member, pay membership. They
Right, I have their membership.
Yeah, so they don't need to go. They don't need to have a party of 2 or anything like that. And a lot of gun ranges have that principle, you know. And mainly for safety.
It was one time that it happened like consistent. It happened like twice, and
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. I've heard of other gun ranges, not only just in California. I remember the gun store I was managing in Vegas. They have a gun range as well and a uniform store. I remember when I first worked there, the director was telling me, just so you know, like if someone commits suicide, like, you know, are you okay with that? Like as far as like blood, I'm like, I worked in the hospital for 12 years, bro. I've seen everything, right? And situation, they go, well, it can happen, and happens typically around the holidays, you know. And
of course,
you know.
Yeah.
And so like we were talking about mental health, and things of that nature earlier. And the problem with that is, the problem with so I'm a responsible firearms owner, at least I like to think so. Right. And everyone who knows me knows that I would predominantly never do anything illegal or anything wrong. But that doesn't mean 20, 30 years from now, something happens where I snap. You know what I'm saying? It can happen to anyone.
Right.
My friend who's ATF told me about after the whole Vegas shooting that whole thing in Vegas. He had a couple of coworkers from the ATF who were there just enjoying the concert when it happened, right? But he was telling me, it's like, I mean, what do you do? The guy passed every background check. Now, we understand he was taking medication later on, so whatever the situation was, but as far as background check was concerned, there was no way that you would have known that.
Well, like, not only that. I mean, my first gun I bought when I was 21. I still have it, you know, and luckily, you know, I've been buying more guns later, but that's a gun, 21-year-old, like we were talking, different lifetime.
Different lifetime.
That was 21-year-old Robert.
Yeah.
You know, now, you know, almost 40-year-old Robert is like, you know, fuck life. Nobody's listening to my podcast.
But it all depends, right? You might be perfectly fine till you're 80 years old and be responsible all the way in the end, or something traumatic. You never know. You don't know, right? And I would like to think that people, if you get into that situation where you do like just life's just throwing all kinds of shit at you, that you hopefully be able to go, you know what?
But
that's not my
so
choice.
Much fucking shit anyways. Right. Knives, cars, like people like
poison,
whatever. I have this conversation all the time where it's like people are like, oh man, you got to be careful with strangers. I'm like, you know what? Get the fuck out of here. I trust strangers better than some of my friends. You know, like I can convince a stranger to help me change my car tire,
or come to a podcast.
Versus telling one of my friends, like, bro, come on, bro. I've known you for 10 fucking years, man. Let's get on the fucking thing. Mm-hmm. We drive on freeways with thousands of people
that we don't know
every fucking day that we don't know, and they're all driving 3,000, 5,000 pound machines that can just fucking and kill people, and we're fine. We're fine. I mean, there's different ways. Japan has high murder rates with knives.
Right?
Yeah, they're fucking. A guy will fucking take out 15 people or something with a fucking knife.
I think it was in London.
I have a question for that later after this too.
I think it was in London a couple years ago. You have fact checked me. I remember reading an article that they had.
I don't have Jamie here, bro.
No, they had a knife law, and they wanted like knives to be rounded or something. And I'm like, serious? Like that is the dumbest thing ever. Like
super dumb.
Good luck cutting a steak. You know,
yeah. If there are people fucking with bats and shit like that.
But
don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about that? You agree with that or disagree?
I mean, yeah, you probably shouldn't bring a knife to a gunfight. I mean, it all depends on, but it also depends on, because I mean, they'll tell you about like in tactical training and stuff like that, defensive training, someone with a knife can get to you really quick, right? Quick, right? So it depends. Ultimately, in the end, I mean, yeah, you probably shouldn't bring a knife to a gunfight because if that gun comes out.
You should watch this episode, Mythbusters.
Yeah, okay.
They did a whole episode about bringing a knife to a gunfight. And it was within, I think it was 8 to 10 feet.
Yeah.
A knife will fuck you up. Knife will fuck you up.
So this has to do with,
and it was just, just reaching. It wasn't a tactical thing. It was like, all right, we're here.
So I'll tell you, so during the pandemic, there was a shooting in Las Vegas in a In-N-Out Burger, okay? The person that was involved, the two people that were involved, one is a very famous competitive shooter. She's a very famous competitive shooter in the industry. And the other person is a famous truck driver, race car, off-roading. But he's very fast on a gun. He's like, he can shoot 3 rounds under 1 second from concealment.
Wait, these two people were...
They're dating.
Oh, they're dating. Got it.
So someone I can't tell you the whole, I'm not sure. I remember from what I remember, because my brother knows them as well. So anyways, guy comes up, 2 guys, I think. One waves a gun, starts shooting, and then pull 10 rounds. 10 rounds of the dude. Right? Wow. My brother's training with him too. He's fast as shit. Right? My brothers are also very fast. So it's like, dude, that you walked up to the wrong people. Wrong people.
Yeah.
Right. So
thank goodness. Yeah.
So depending on who
California in and out.
Unlock their box, take out the gun,
and then grab the ammo from the trunk and you're fucking done.
But it all depends on but averagely, yes, absolutely. Yeah. It depends. I think it depends on, because there are some guys out there in the industry, guys I've met, dude, they're fast as shit. Like, dude, holy shit. Like, from pulling a gun out to shooting to, discharging the round, they're fast as shit, dude. Like, no joke. But it also depends on awareness, too, because it goes to the whole thing of police officers have, I think it's, they have to have a verbal threat. They do like a 3-point assessment, right? Before they pull their gun. They're supposed to, right?
Right.
I think it's like, and any officers out there, I apologize if I'm doing it wrong. It's been a long time. My friends who are police officers told me this a long time ago, but like If they have the intent, the ability, there's like 3 steps they have, then you can pull a gun, basically, because you believe they're a potential
threat
to
your life.
Right, for sure.
Somebody's life, yeah.
But civilians don't have that, right? Because we don't follow the same rules, because that's not our job, right? So if we're fear for our life, as long as we know we're in fear for our life, gun comes out. If you truly believe you're in fear for your life, right?
But that depends on the circumstance.
The training, the understanding. You know, like it's kind of like, okay, when I sit in a restaurant, I sit towards the door. My wife knows this. I always sit towards the door. I face the door, so I can see everyone that's coming in, right? It's kind of like if you're the example I would give, like if you were in a crowded situation, and let's say everyone's on the move, or let's say summertime, everyone's wearing shorts and tank tops, some dude's wearing a leather jacket. That's the dude you watch.
Right.
Because it's out of place in this scenario. It's out of place, right? So same thing. I think if you're more aware, you're a lot faster.
Yeah, of course.
Right. I'm not saying it's not going to happen all the time, or you can be that.
But you
fast.
can train yourself.
But let's step away. Alert. Let's I remember I was in Vegas. My wife gets out of the car, and I hear commotion. So there's these 3 dudes yelling at 2 other dudes in Walmart. Like right there, talking all kinds of shit.
At Walmart?
Yeah.
What?
The first class people there. And so my wife's still there, just standing by the car. I go, move. I have a gun on me. I'm like, move. Now, I'm not going to do anything because they're not bothering my wife and I, whatever. But they're talking shit. I realized the 2 people were working at Walmart. And these 3 dudes, at least the driver, the car was from California. You know, I don't know what happened. I just walked in, and then Metro Police pulls up. But everything was already done at this point.
De-escalated and done.
They're already gone. So I'm like, oh, what the fuck happened? It was kind of like, it's like always being mindful and going, oh shit, here's a situation. Because, like,
but it's hard, and it's very fucking hard, especially like in California. Like that's one of the things that I liked about ITTS. That when I took their class, is like the first day was 6 hours of laws. If you're in your house and you hear some fucking yelling outside. Do not go outside. Don't go there. Don't fucking. You can't.
Yeah.
If you hear a woman getting hurt and she's fucking getting murdered on the street, do not engage. Do not. Your life has to be threatened. You know, the only time you have is when they come into your fucking house.
Right.
Like period. Like, and that's why it's such a gray area.
Yeah. It is such a gray. You're absolutely. It's such a gray area.
It's a big responsibility.
But in Vegas, it's very different. Right. It's not Wild West. Right, even the Wild West wasn't that wild, but it's not like
you don't think the Wild West was wild.
Not as people they believe to be. It's not as crazy as it used to be.
Did you watch Seth MacFarlane's A Million Ways to Die in the West?
Yeah.
Like it's fucking like
I mean,
they shot the fucking. That's the mayor. He's been dead for 3 fucking days. Look, wolves are taking him. This is fucking crazy. Like you could die from anything.
Right, but it's so within Vegas. There's a stand your ground law. Even California has one, but it's very kind of grayish. But you don't have to run. You can stand and fight if your life is in danger. It's very clear there, very clear cut there. Which is also another reason why I love it. Not just for the guns, but look, in the end, I remember asking a lot of Metro police officers, like, "Hey, dude, I was working at a gun shop. Like, hey, so like, what should I do? This and that." And they're like, "Dude, first of all, number 1, carry a gun." Like straight up, like, "Oh, carry a gun
over there."
And they're like, "We can't be everywhere. Like, we cannot be everywhere."
I've called the cops once and. It was hold. It was like the lines are busy. Please hold.
Right.
Like for real.
So when my older kids were very young, I was at CVS. I walked in and there was a homeless guy there asking for change. I say, hey, on my way out. Cool, no problem. So I come out, me and my kids come out, and he's gone. Right. So we're walking in my car. I'm getting my kids in the car. And now this dude's yelling at everyone, kind of like, I guess he's, obviously not there, but he's just yelling. And I'm like, who's yelling? And there's a bunch of women in shows, so I called 911 right away. Right, this back wasn't into guns at the time. Oh, I didn't own them for sure. And I was like, hey, call 911. They transferred me to 3 times. I'm like, bro. And they're like, what's the problem? He goes, you guys should send an officer here to this blah blah blah. There's a homeless guy yelling all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of women and children around here. Just want someone just to make sure everything's okay. Where's this located? Oh, let me transfer you again. And by the time they're done, I'm like, never mind, bro. He already left. Yeah. Like, never mind. Forget it.
Right before I came, I was at In-N-Out.
Okay.
And there was this homeless guy, just fucking dirty, whatever.
Yeah.
Tall, big dude. Yeah. Very big dude. And usually they stand on the sidewalk and they walk up and down the sidewalk and ask the people for money.
Yeah.
But this guy was in the parking lot and he was like aggressive going up to cars.
Wow.
And one of the securities came and he's like, you have to get off the property. And the guy's like ignoring him. And I was like, man, this is like, this security has no backup. If he calls a cop, no cop's going to come. If he touches them, it's going to be a fucking problem.
Right.
Like, what's the right action? And the guy was very uncomfortable. Like, you know, he was like, practically on my windshield, and I was like, luckily I had the windows tinted. He's like trying to peek in. And I was like,
damn,
dude, this is crazy, you know. But then you have females and kids and stuff. It's a fucked up situation. Like, it's not gonna get us anywhere.
Right? No. I remember I had an old security guard that worked at a B of A by my house back in days, like 10 years ago. And I was talking. I'm like, hey, we kind of know. And then he found out I worked at a gun shop and the whole 9 yards. And I said, bro, you carry a revolver? To guard this B of A, bro? And he was like, well, that's what my company issues me, right? A revolver. I'm like,
wow.
I go, now, if I were to be crazy enough and be a bank robber, and let's say me and my friends jump and decide to rob a bank, dude, I'm coming with like rifles, bro. I'm like, what are you gonna do, dude? Yeah. Like, and I'm not saying anything bad about them. I feel like that's totally fucked up for them to do that. Are you serious? You know? Wow. So it's kind of, okay, so you rob a bank, you're probably coming with some heavy stuff.
But that's like, I get people need the job and people need money, but get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, it's and banks get robbed all the time. Right. Like I had a friend of mine. He was the president in Northern California of Bank of America's.
Oh, okay.
He's a robber. Banks get robbed all the time. They just don't talk about it, and people get away all the fucking time. Yeah. You know, like it's just dumb. Like that's why it's insured. That's why it's everything else. Right. And to put yourself in that kind of fucking risk, I mean, how fucking desperate do you have to be?
Right. You have to be really desperate.
You like how are you not waking up every day and saying, what the fuck am I doing? Right. Like I think cops should be doing that right now. Like I think being a cop right now is fucked up.
So I have friends in I'll just leave it as in certain departments, and they'll tell me, and they're old school, they're about to retire. Like, bro, I would not be a cop today. Like straight, they're like, hell no, bro.
Why would you? Yeah.
You know, well, because back in the, they'll tell you like, hey, sometimes we got to put someone down hard. We have to. It happens, right? You got to put them hard down, right? Not like abusive, but you got to put them hard down. He goes, dude, that would be all over the news, and
you can't do nothing. You can't Your hands are fucking tied.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I think.
And then you get those shitty people that are just instigating with cops saying, I know all the laws. I know all the laws. Like, I just ran into one where the guy's coming from the border and they're like, what's your citizenship? He's like,
I'm the citizen of the earth. I'm like, oh, God.
No, he's like, I don't have to tell you. I don't have to report my citizenship to a fucking law enforcement agent that works for my country. They're like, are you American, bro? Like, it's like, I'm not going to answer that. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, man?
And I think that's another thing with my encounter. So when I was younger, right, growing up in the 90s, gang, like, hold on, I turned 18, I shaved my head, which is I'm still bald today.
Oh, so you shaved your head young. Like
yeah.
Old school. You're original.
Yeah. And so
I just did it like a year ago or something. Like, fuck, I'm late to the party.
Yeah, I've been doing it for so long now, right, over 20 years at this point. And cops used to, Burbank PD, oh, man, they
what? Burbank PD? Profiling? No.
Yeah, no way. Back then, no way,
Asians
right?
and blacks?
Yeah, no way.
What?
No ways, right? And I remember undercover pulled me and my friend over. Obviously, we're Asian, and back in the 90s, import cars and lower cars, all that stuff, right? I get it, whatever. So these two undercovers come out. One comes on the side of me. I'm not, he's a tall white guy. I just don't remember. I never looked at him, right? And he was like, we're wearing wife beaters, right? Jeans and stuff like that. Looking
baggy
like,
jeans.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards, right?
Polaroid.
And then
Dickies.
He's like, you guys got warrants? I'm like, no, I don't got a warrant. He's talking CIDs, all this shit. And he goes like, he saw my belt, right? And he goes, what's that stand for, man? CK, cop killer. And I go, no, it stands for Calvin Klein.
Hilarious.
And I was like, dude, cop killer, like,
dude, you're creative.
Yeah, and then, but then they used to harass me all the time. The last time I got harassed by a cop was about 10 years, at least 10 years ago in Glendale, actually. I was playing basketball. I hurt my ankle. I had a bad ankle back in the days. I injured it pretty bad, and my wife and I were playing and whatever. And then we were in the car, just hanging out, and because I was massaging my ankle. Glendale pulls over. I cracked the window, so I'm smoking a cigarette. Pulls out, flash a light at me, sees my bald head.
Say that too. Playing basketball, I guarantee you were smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. Of course, Asian,
Yeah.
And so We're not playing basketball. We're shooting around. Let's put it that way. Too old to play that shit. And so, yeah, and he's talking shit. And he brings out, he takes me out of the car. And he was like, "Who you banging for?" I started laughing. He was like, "What's so funny?" I was like, "Officer, I don't know how old you think I am, but I haven't been asked that question in like 10 years, dude." Right? And he was like, he's talking to me. You have your ID? I'm like, shit. I go, I know my driver's license number. Here's the number. Da, da. He had me walk to his car, and I go, "Officer, what would you like me to put my hands on the hood?" He's like, "Done this before." I go, "I just want to make sure you feel safe." That's when he was like, "You have friends at the police?" I go, "I got a lot of friends at the police officer. I just want to make sure you feel safe." And 2 cars show up, and he waves them off. He's fine. He's good, yeah. He's just with his girl, you know. And he was asking, he's like, "I apologize." I'm like, "No, it's cool. Just do your job. I get it. No big deal. I don't take offense to it."
That's it. The point is just cooperate. Like, don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, don't be a dick about it.
Don't be a Karen or fucking whatever the case is.
And that's the one.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, and that's where they get, you know, cops. Look, they got a tough job. They want to go home to their families, you know, like anyone else, you know.
People don't understand that. I mean, you and I can talk about this, about how simple it is to understand that, but people don't give a fuck about that.
No. And I got to say, you know, I've never been in a situation like that. I've been in other situations, you know.
I was going to ask you, what's the craziest situation you've ever been in? Have you been in a gun situation or? Okay,
so most people, when they find out, I'm an instructor, they think, obviously, I was a kid. I learned how to shoot when I was a kid. All that stuff. I said, bro, the first time I was a kid, me and my brother, we found my dad's revolver in a drawer. That was my first experience with a gun. The second time my experience with a gun, I was about 14 years old. I used to break dance back in the days, and me and my buddies were all like practicing outside in the yard. And truck pulls up, gangbangers right behind, pull a shotgun on us. Where the fuck you from? You know, don't bang. Luckily, one of them, I knew him well, bro. He's like, "Oh, he's in my class. He's cool." All right.
Wow.
So, and in every other experience, then I got robbed for $2.25 with a couple gangbangers. They had a revolver. The last time I had a gun pulled on me was 2008, right in the neighborhood. Yeah, and it was just it's you know, people are like, "What the fuck?" I go, but the thing is that me and my brother will always joke. My brother Dom will always joke, like, because our lifestyle, how we grew up. We're always situational awareness. That's, you know, like I remember when you grow up in a neighborhood like that, we would sit on the porch and every car that passed by, we would always look at people, like just making sure who's rolling by, no matter who it is, right?
Yeah,
it's normal. That's how we did. I feel like, you know, when you go through a traumatic event, like officers, when you go through a traumatic event, dude, they're always heightened that way. Right? Yeah. Imagine someone's trying to shoot you, dude. Every stop or a stop that reminds maybe the same car that you pull over, I'm sure they're, you know, or maybe the same type of people, let's just say. Same car, fuck, last time a motherfucker shot at me. You don't think they're up antsy? I would be.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so that's why, I guess, when cops come, I try to be really cool, really. I don't get pulled over very much anymore, but, you know, if I did, it's like, "Hey, officer, what would you like me to do?" I have my wallet on my left hand, my left side, my back pocket, my left side. I'll reach for it really slowly, you know, just let me know when. Hold on, registration's over here.
Overall, cops are fucking,
but they're cool.
They're cool.
Yeah,
man.
You're cool with them. They're cool with you.
Done.
Yeah, but you see these videos like, you know, it's like officer comes up. What's up, Holmes?
It's blood boiling. Like you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm not saying these people. If let's say these people get hurt, it's just kind of like, dude, you could have done it better, bro. You could, you know what I mean?
You could have like
de-escalated.
Spent less time. Like, why are you wasting so much time?
And I'm not saying there's certain circumstances.
Like, there was a guy I was watching. He was a black dude, and he had the car full of guns and fucking. He was in Miami. He was wearing a mask and everything, and he knew his rules, and he was being very cool. He's like, "Look, officer, got a bunch of guns. You know this, that. I got one in my waist. I got one right here. And I got one in the sock." I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "This is my business. I do instructional videos." You know, and like, "You want me to take off the mask?" You know, but he was wearing like a fucking ski mask. Like, he was fucking, it's crazy. They're like, they count like 21 guns and rifles loaded. He goes, "They're loaded." They're loaded. But you know what? After like 20, 30 minutes, sergeants came, everything. "You're good, bro." He's like, I know. I just want to make sure you see, guys. This is how you deal with shit. You know, nice and easy.
Right. Yeah. It's really how you deal with. It's really how you deal with police officers in general. You know, and they can tell. They you know, like I said, I always tell people, look, you know, if I deal with officers, the last time I dealt with officers, same thing. It was like, hey, you know, my wallet's in my left hand pocket, my backside pocket, my registration. Can I reach for it? I'm really slow. They're kind of, you're fine. You know, they don't. Of course. Because I'm just trying to make sure you guys feel safe. And
that's the key words right there.
And they're fine with it. They'll be like, "Okay, no problem. Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, I'll just real slow. Here you go. here's my ID, da da da. You know,
I'm done.
They don't.
Let's end it with. Did you watch The Irishman? Netflix, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci.
I've seen The Irishman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's long. It's like a 10-hour movie long, you know. But they had one quote that I thought was kind of interesting. What do you think of this quote? He says, I think it's run towards a gun and away from a knife.
Run towards the gun, away from it. Okay, yeah.
That kind of makes sense, right?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because if you run away from a gun, it's like you're just going to... You know, right?
Oh, you also, it's kind of like, well, when they look at pistols, for instance, right? Like police officers carry pistols because they're the easiest to carry, right? But pistols are not the best at self-defense. Most officers carry a pistol because that's the easiest to carry, but they're usually fighting their way back to a bigger gun, a shotgun or a rifle in the car, right? That's what they go after. Yeah. So kind of the same thing, yeah.
Okay. So you agree with that one?
Yeah, I agree with it.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
I hope to see you again.
Sure.
Any new stuff, any new projects, any new laws, keep us informed.
Oh, yeah, right.
I hope. Well, who knows? Rick Caruso's running, and that might help us out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
No problem.
And that's a wrap. 2 hours.
Was it